With a Walmart Plus membership, you can get fresh groceries delivered free the same day. Because planning family dinners is so simple. Said no parent ever. You've got one kid who's a vegan today, another who only eats dinosaur-shaped nuggets, you've got soccer practices and flugelhorn practices. You've got enough on your plate. Walmart Plus has you covered. Get fresh groceries and more at the low prices you love with free same-day delivery. Walmart Plus. Start your free trial today. $35 order minimum. Restrictions apply. See membership details.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? This is the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson here, and you are listening to Keepin It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out in Barrio the Frogs. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review nights 4 through 9 of the 2022 New Japan Cup and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. Young boy, welcome back, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to return to the show. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be allowed to come back. You know,
not gonna be allowed to come back to your own show.
Yeah. No, for real. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in, and big shout out to Chris Sabin filling in. My giant jock, manning the ship while I was gone. So definitely appreciate that. And for those of you that have reached out this past week concerning the losses in my family, greatly appreciate that, and all the well wishers and everything of that nature. So I'd like to also start off by saying I'm frustrated right now. Okay, I made myself a nice drink. I've had a long, hard weekend, hard week, hard day, and I decided I'm gonna make myself a nice, refreshing lemonade gin drink. Okay, so I got the drink all set to go. Made myself like the raspberry lemonade, put in some sparkling water. I mean, this is gourmet. Like, this is like FOH draft level of just not as much alcohol, but as far as like fanciness, that's the same level we're talking about here. And I like to top it off with a nice straw. Okay, listen to this. You hear that? Do you hear this crackling?
Yeah.
Okay. We have these colored straws, and like, I know they're not good for turtles, but like every now and again I like to just be decadent and have a nice straw. It's the best way to drink a fruity drink like this. Man, this shit is cracked. It's botched. It did the job. I'm not gonna be able to use it. We're already on the air. I wish I would have caught it before we came on there. I would have gone and got another straw. We got literally like 1,000 pack. I'm not happy. Not happy about it because drinking from the rim is for pores. Okay.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to slum it and just go for it. Be the poor life.
Yeah. Yeah. Slum it with the pores. God. No, but yeah, man. Glad to be back. We got a lot to get into. You told me you had some special news you wanted to drop on the air here.
Yeah, man. So as everybody has known that I'm engaged, so also that means I am now planning a wedding. So I'm establishing my stable, my groomsmen, and when you need somebody, you gotta turn to your blood. You gotta turn to the clique. So, young boy, will you be one of my groomsmen?
Oh man. No, in all seriousness, Jeremy asked me this before we went on the air, but I was like, yeah, we should save this for the show. But let me ask you this: how long do I have to give you an answer?
I mean, I don't know. Usually people responded right away, so
It's just that's a really big commitment. What kind of responsibilities does a groomsman carry for a Jeremy Donovan wedding?
I mean, showing up to the building on time,
Damn.
wearing whatever the assigned uniform, whatever we pick out, colors or whatever.
I want creative control. Oh man, yeah, I'll be one of the groomsmen. Now the big question I think everyone wants to know is like, where am I in the lineup? Am I main eventing? Am I curtain jerking? Like, where am I?
Well,
am I doing the job? What's the deal?
Well, this is like a one of those scenarios where everybody is equal.
That's never a thing. That's never a thing. This man's trying to work me into a handshake and a hot dog roll in his wedding. Treat me like I'm a good little hand, but mark contract. The fuck? No, absolutely. Excited to do it. Excited to be part of the festivities. And really excited for the bachelor party.
Yeah, hopefully, we're nothing too crazy is gonna be going on.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy. But yeah, man, that's exciting. So yeah, and we definitely need to monetize your wedding for this podcast.
Live streaming.
I'm thinking NFTs.
Yeah, NFTs of pictures of the wedding. We could live stream it on Twitch. We get on Rich's Twitch, live stream it.
I've been told that an NFT can be anything. I don't know how it works, but I think like your marriage could be an NFT basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, yeah, I guess just do the whole thing will be just one big NFT.
Well, no, not one big NFT. We'll do
multiple NFTs. There we
multiple.
go.
Yeah. So if you guys want to support this show, support someone, get with us, teach us how to what is an NFT and teach us how to do it. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's a money laundering scheme. We get that, whatever. Just teach us how to do it. We want to be in on the grift. We don't want to be, the ones getting grifted.
Yeah, maybe we'll hit up Gabe Sapolsky. He seems to be all into the NFTs.
He was tweeting, he's like, what are the best NFTs? Oh, you know who's big with the cryptos and stuff? Rocky. That's who we should hit up. Good friend of the show.
Yeah.
He knows all about NFTs.
Hey, there we go.
Isn't he doing one with Mila Kunis?
I know Mila Kunis is doing one. I didn't realize that Rocky was a part of that.
I think, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with what's going on. I've been trying to watch all this New Japan Cup goodness. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it. But I have affectionately dubbed this year's New Japan Cup the MJC. The Mid Japan Cup.
Oh man, yeah, we have plenty of New Japan or Mid Japan, if Young Boy likes to call it, stuff to talk about. But before we jump into all that, I think we got to kind of start on a little bit of a down note here and just talk about the passing of Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Passed away at 63 years old. Was taken off of life support on Monday after suffering 3 heart attacks on Saturday. He had been in a Georgia hospital since March First, after he sustained a broken hip that required surgery, a blood clot got loose last week, and he developed serious complications that led to the heart attacks and then ultimately led to his passing. So obviously our thoughts and prayers and condolences to all the friends and family of Scott Hall. But young boy, do you have any thoughts or memories about Scott Hall?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think most wrestling fans from our generation of fandom, have fond memories of Scott Hall from his time as, whether it was the NWO days as Scott Hall as part of the hostile takeover and all that, or whether it was as Razor Ramon. My fandom of Scott Hall, I wouldn't call it fandom. My awareness goes all the way back to like the Diamond Stud days in the early days of WCW. Because I used to get like tapes from my grandfather back in the day, and for whatever reason, I had like tapes with Oz, Kevin Nash as Oz in WCW, and Vinny Vegas, and then also the Diamond Stud Scott Hall. But Scott Hall is one of those guys that, like, yeah, he never did win a world title in any of the companies that he competed in, but he was always a major player and always like a guy that drew a lot of fan interest, a lot of money, had great matches. I wouldn't call him necessarily like, say, a revolutionary worker, but you talk to anybody that got in the ring with him, and I think he kind of reminds me in a certain sense of how people speak of like Jake Roberts or Randy Orton, a guy that like understood the psychology of how to wrestle and was like this I wouldn't call him a mechanic, but somebody that like could get greatness out of most guys. That seemed to be the reputation he had amongst his peers. And once he got to WWF and sort of developed that Scarface knockoff character, Razor Ramon, and everything like that, that's what really launched him to superstardom on the national stage. And then obviously the history that he's a part of with NWO. But I mean, that even translates over to a lot of people listening to this podcast probably are aware. Many probably aren't aware that he had a long-standing relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, he worked for them dating all the way back to the 80s, and then did many tours in the 80s and the 90s, and then in the 2000s as well. So I mean, he had 3 decades of competition with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and was a big part of that NWO Japan stable, and then the T2000 stuff that kind of happened as well. He even in the early days when he was still just Scott Hall, before he even became Diamond Stud, this is post AWA. He had a pretty lengthy tour where he toured New Japan with who would become the Undertaker, but when he was wrestling back in the early 90s, late 80s as Punisher Dice Morgan. And they even had like a IWGP tag title challenge against, I want to say Hashimoto and Chono, or I can't remember who Hashimoto's partner was at the time. But yeah, I mean, Scott Hall, he's a guy that just, some of the greatest memories and moments of wrestling that I have, whether it's, the ladder match at WrestleMania 10, whether it's, him showing up on Nitro in the denim jacket or the denim vest, and telling everybody, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. And I just think he left a really indelible mark on so many wrestling fans from that era. A lot of people that are even, you see it kind of being poured out on social media. A lot of people who don't even watch wrestling still are kind of heartbroken over the passing of him. The one thing, and I'll kick it over to you, I'm happy though, is that that whole resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts documentary that came out of, at this point it's almost 10 years ago, that kind of like was the genesis and regeneration of Scott Hall, where they brought him into DDP's house, I forget what it's called, the Integrity Crib or whatever, and helped him get fit again and helped him get off drugs and off the alcohol. And we even saw him kind of like make a resurgence and get into the Hall of Fame and clean up his life. And spend a good decade with his friends doing what he loved to do, and do it with the fans. I even saw him just as recently as last year's WrestleMania, WrestleCon, when I was working that event, and very nice man. So, yeah, very saddened to hear about the passing of Scott Hall here.
Yeah, really just sad and heartbreaking news. 63 years old. That's still, pretty young. Could have had a more life to live. Yeah, devastating loss to the wrestling world. Like you mentioned, people in our, age group, our generation, however you want to say it. Scott Hall / Razor Ramon was definitely a big influence. I can always remember as a kid, doing the Razor Ramon walk, down the hallway in school or into a building. Like, he was just so cool, and everybody wanted to be like him, or buying a pack of toothpicks just so you can, pretend to be him and put the toothpick in your mouth, and I'd throw it at my little brother and get in trouble. And just everything about him, the taunts, everything that he did was just so cool and oozing of charisma. Such an influential guy in the business. Like you mentioned, obviously, jumping ship to WCW was such a big deal, and not, what is Razor doing on Nitro right now? It's like the whole, creation of the NWO, which led to the Monday Night Wars and people jumping back and forth. And yeah, he's always will be one of my favorites growing up. And like you mentioned, maybe not the, work rate as far as like moves kind of guy, but just a very smart professional wrestler. You hear a lot of people talking about going to him for advice on how to put matches together, or some stuff for their promos, or how to get a certain move over. And he just got it. He had that psychology down, and you just saw that in the way he wrestled, his promos, and just how over he was in pretty much every promotion he was in. Like you mentioned, yeah, he was never the world champion, but it was just one of those situations where it's like he was so over a lot of times. Like, he didn't necessarily need to be the world champ because he was already over. I mean, I'm sure for him, he wanted to be the world champ because in his time, the world championship was the most paid guy. So for him, it was about, getting that paycheck. But ultimately, I'm sure Booker saw, like, man, this guy is super over. He doesn't need help getting more over, so I'm not going to put the belt on him.
Dude, Scott Hall was getting paid like a world champion when he jumped in 1996.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking more of like, WWF, where he's like asking Vince, what else can I do? He's like, do you like my matches? He's like, yeah, they're good. Like, all right, what else can I do to get over? How can I, get the main event, be the champ?
Yeah, I was talking with Rich about that today, and we were talking about how, like, it was weird that they didn't let him turn heel in 95 WWF, because it's like, why wouldn't you? If you kind of look at the landscape, he needed it and they kind of needed it, but I think they were kind of handicapping him a bit because, just the dire situation that they were kind of in already, from a financial standpoint. So yeah, it is kind of unfortunate. I think hindsight's 2020, but like you said, you think about like the different maneuvers, and I think about like working with my dad in the summers and like him setting up ladders, and you better believe that I did the machismo walk underneath a ladder.
Yes.
Like it was WrestleMania 10, or like I stood on top of the ladder with my arms stretched out like I'm fucking Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I still have WrestleMania 10 taped on VHS in my room.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a very giving guy too. I mean, you look at what he did for guys like Owen Hart and 1-2-3 Kid and Hector Garza and Chris Jericho and DDP and even Tanahashi. A lot of people are not aware, but like in 2001, Scott Hall had one of his final tours with New Japan. This is post WCW, and they were building to a major match between him and Keiji Muto at the time. And on the way to that build, they did a squash match between Tanahashi and Scott Hall. And at the time, we're talking about a Tanahashi who hasn't even been in the business for a year, young lion status essentially. And they did an angle that was Scott Hall's idea. And in fact, the company didn't want to do the angle. They actually tried to talk Scott Hall out of doing the angle, but for whatever reason, he took a liking to Hiroshi Tanahashi, who like wasn't necessarily like a golden boy at this point. You know what I mean? Like he's
Right.
still just a guy that they're developing. And for whatever reason, he took a liking to Hiroshi Tanahashi, and he decided he wanted to do an angle. So they do a match. It goes like, you can find it on YouTube. It goes about 5 minutes, maybe less.
Yeah, I think it's been floating around on Twitter and the New Japan Reddit.
Gotcha. He pretty much just beats the piss out of Tanahashi, hits him with the razor's edge. He's ready to go for the pinfall, but instead he kind of gloats. He walks around the ring. He grabs a mic. They take some time getting it to him. He starts cutting a promo, and he's like, Muto Kiji, if you ever end up in the ring with me, this is what's going to happen to you. And he points down at Tanahashi. Tanahashi fucking schoolboys this man. It's so funny, bro, when he's like, this is what will happen to you. Boom, scoop. 1, 2, 3. This man does a JOB to Tanahashi, who hasn't even been in the business for a year. And, for a guy that's a Attitude Era / New Generation mark like Hiroshi Tanahashi was, that was like this huge, huge honor. I mean, we've talked on this podcast about how he idolized guys like Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall and that entire like Click crew. So for one of those guys to take a shine to him and decide to put him over when he didn't have to, that was a big deal, and it really endeared Scott to a lot of that current generation of Japanese, talent at the time. So, and that was, he did that time and time again in Puerto Rico and in WCW and in WWF, everywhere he went.
Yeah, he was just so giving, like you mentioned, truly helped those guys in building careers, and looks like they are starting to find some of his matches on NJPW World, and they're putting those out. So one that's on the front page right now, they have Muto and the Steiner brothers against Chono, Nash, and Hall from May 3rd, 1997 from Strong Style Evolution. It's kind of part of that whole NWO and NWO Japan. So yeah, definitely a lot of time in New Japan. I don't think a lot of people, like you mentioned, really knew about his time in New Japan. It's not really publicized a lot, or you don't really hear a ton of people talking about that part of his career. It's all, WWF and WCW for the most part. But yeah, there's so much to his career, like you mentioned, the AWA, and even, Meltzer was going back to him being like Magnum, Scott Hall. There's like so much that he done throughout the wrestling business.
Yeah, I recall the AWA days. Obviously, I wasn't watching it live, but I mean, I've seen quite a bit of the tape of him and Kurt Hennig as AWA tag champions. I mean, it's kind of funny because he's just this like big, rugged, Southern cowboy archetype type wrestler. Cowboyism like Adam Hangman Page. But it's just kind of crazy. But very sad. And like we said, condolences go out to all his friends and family and all those affected by his loss, and he won't be forgotten.
Yeah. So let's shift gears now, and we're actually going to start with New Japan of America here, because this weekend here in St. Petersburg / Tampa, Florida, we have Strong Style Evolve, the next set of tapings for New Japan Strong. And we are having a New Japan fan meetup that Sunday before the show at Overflow Brewing Company. You can Google that, the address. There's a flyer going around with the address. We're planning on meeting there at 1:30 p.m. Sunday, March 20th. Before the show, it's about a few minute, 4 or 5 minute walk, I believe, away from the venue. Come out, all the Social Suplex guys will be there. I've been seeing a lot of people retweeting, a lot of people hitting me up saying that they're going to be there. So come on out. Sundays, it's going to be before the card. We'll grab some drinks, have a good time, and just kind of get hyped up for this big Strong Style Evolve card.
Yeah, let's make things very clear. This is not an official thing that we have, like scheduled with, or like we didn't rent out the brewery, essentially. I talked to the people that run the brewery, told them the amount of people that are coming. They're cool with it, but it's not like an official thing. We're not buying you guys drinks, okay?
Yeah, this is buy your own drink kind of event.
Yeah. If you want to come in, you buy your own drinks, whatever. If you don't want to drink, have a water, whatever. But this brewery is actually really, really, really cool. They got awesome like games and artwork, and the drinks are really awesome, and they're not that expensive, and it's like you said, like a 5-minute walk from the venue. And we're gonna chill there, hang out. Last time we did this when Strong Style, or I don't even know, was it? No, it
It
was
was New Beginning.
New Beginning. Yeah, when New Beginning tour was here a couple years ago, we did something similar. Had a great turnout. Had a really awesome time with a bunch of different like-minded New Japan fans, and so we want you guys to come out, just hang out, very chill, and once we're done, we'll walk over to the Coliseum and we will watch what on paper I think is a pretty awesome looking show, honestly.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the lineup right now, but one thing that got announced for the lineup last week, normally these Jay White USOJ Open challenges are kind of a mystery opponent, but we had somebody come out right out and answer the challenge before the show, and that would be one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin. So New Japan of America posted a video on Friday featuring Sabin answering Jay White's ongoing USOJ Open challenge. He said, "Forget the surprises. I'm just going to tell you straight up right now. Jay, I accept your challenge. March 20th, New Japan Strong. Chris Sabin versus Jay White." And there's actually been some story going on with these guys. So Jay White defeated Alex Shelley recently on, I believe it was Sacrifice in Impact. Yeah, last Saturday's Impact Sacrifice show. And this week, the Machine Guns are back together. They'll be facing Jay White and Chris Bay on this Thursday's Access TV. Also, Sabin will be facing Jay White on Friday, April 1st at Impact's WrestleCon show, the Multiverse of Matches. So a little program that's going to get kicked off here with Jay White and Chris Sabin.
Do we know if the Impact show is being like taped or aired on their streaming service or anything like that?
I would assume it is, because pretty much all the Impact shows, even like the Sacrifice one, which was a kind of just Impact, I think, plus exclusive, all get streamed somehow. So I think there will be some kind of streaming for that Multiverse of Matches show.
Yeah, I got thrown off because I saw that they initially said that Sabin was fighting Jay on the 20th, but then I saw that they're also wrestling on April 1st, and I was like, did they get the dates wrong? Was the cat let out of the bag too early? Because it kind of seemed like I tried to find that tweet where the New Japan of America Twitter page released that they're fighting on the 20th, and it looked like they got rid of it. So I'm wondering if they're still doing it or not.
Well, I saw a match graphic of today with Sabin and Jay White with the Strong Style Evolved match graphic.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I wasn't sure, so I'm glad that you done a little more due diligence than I have. But Chris Sabin, that's a guy that we have both kind of grown up on and seen him. Last time I think he competed in New Japan was probably that Super Juniors tournament a few years ago. So look forward to seeing him kind of return to the Cerulean Blue.
Yeah, so
if it even is a Cerulean Blue mat, like who knows what the ring setup's going to be like in Tampa? I don't even know.
Yeah. So we got the Jay White versus Chris Sabin match. We'll also have the strong openweight champion Tom Lawler defending against the Wild Rhino Clark Connors. We'll have Finn Juice taking on Shane Haste and Jonah. Carl Fredericks taking on Josh Alexander. Ren Narita taking on Jay Lethal. Blake Christian taking on Swerve Strickland. Mascara Dorada taking on TJP. Freddie Ahai and Daniel Garcia taking on Fred Rosser and Eddie Kingston. Buddy Matthews of the House of Black will be taking on Yuya Uemura. Black Tiger and JR Kratos taking on Rocky Romero and Wheeler Yuta of Chaos. John Schuyler taking on Big Damo. Andy Brown taking on Hecaleo. And opening up with some Young Lion action, we'll have Kevin Knight taking on the DKC.
Yeah, so this is a lot of matches for a taping like this. I've kind of compared and looked back, and I don't think they've done any other tapings since they've gone to the Live Strong format that have this many matches. I am wondering if maybe some of these matches might become part of that, I don't know, that Chris Charlton special access show that they've done in the past. Because this seems like
the extra.
Too many. Yeah, the extra. Because it seems like it's just too many to do they've got enough here to do 5 episodes basically.
Yeah, I'm sure some will be the YouTube exclusive extra stuff, and then probably 3 or 4 weeks of TV with everything else.
The one thing I will say, I don't think there's necessarily right. I mean, there's definitely some intriguing matches. So I'm not at all like diminishing what this is, but we've had some matches in the past that have been built up and advertised that were much bigger in stature and in name strength than any individual match on this show. So from that respect, I would kind of label this like a B level strong taping, and I think it is kind of sandwiched in between two stronger, uh, strong taping destinations back to back. That being said, for a B level strong, I don't think you could get much better than this. Because I mean, look at there's like 13 or 14 matches, and at least 10 of them have big, big names that from around the wrestling industry, whether it's Swerve, whether it's Jay Lethal, Josh Alexander, Tom Lawler. The list goes on and on. Eddie Kingston, and I mean, you've got guys literally from like Impact, ROH, MLW, GCW, the Indies, AEW. It's kind of crazy, like how much of a melting pot this promotion has, this like side promotion or under project has kind of become. And yeah, I mean, and then when you even take into consideration that just aside from those 10 matches with the big names, you also have a Young Lions match. You also have what are probably effectively some tryout matches for up and coming like indie guys that kind of have a buzz in the local area with like WWN and stuff like that. This is an awesome show. I actually can't think of a single show that I've seen personally live in the Florida Tampa Bay area that are better than this on paper. And that includes any WWE show I've seen here. That includes any like Evolve, any FIP. That includes anything I saw WrestleMania weekend.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, this is, like you said, it's a really solid lineup up and down the card. And yeah, it pretty much, you look at the star power on this card, yeah, it definitely eclipses anything that we've seen in that kind of local independent. Yeah, even some of the major shows, like you mentioned, yeah, like when WWE comes to town, you're not going to get a caliber of this card. Even if they do bring like a pay-per-view card here, you're not going to get, this stacked of a card here with these matches. These guys are going to go out here and kill it. And this is going to overall.
This card's better than the last New Japan show they did here. Now that one definitely had better, like more domestic star names like Tanahashi and stuff like that. Guys that you knew. But putting that aside, this is actually a much stronger card on paper. I mean, look how many singles matches we're getting.
Yeah, ton of singles matches. We're getting big stars. We're getting, AEW's new signee and Swerve. We're getting AEW's Buddy Matthews and Eddie Kingston. We got Josh Alexander coming back in to take on Fredericks. So you got Lethal in there from AEW also. Sabin from Impact. Jay White's on fire right now with all the Bull Club stuff that's going on. There's just so much. We have the whole the Shane Haste and Jonah coming back together. That storyline with them and Finju. So that's been building for several weeks now. So that's going to be a heated grudge match. There's so much, you got the
even the Rocky Romero Black Tiger stuff that's been going on. There's like stories that are here, and we'll even talk about it. But like the Dorada TJP match they set up this past week on Strong as well.
Yeah, rematch from the Cruiserweight Classic Finals in 2016.
So yeah, so if this was a trash card, we would just say it. It's far from that. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend. There's still a lot of tickets for sale. That's the one thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and I don't want to be too negative, but being honest, they haven't sold a lot of tickets for this thing. Like they've got like I don't know. I want to say like for the setup, I think it's still around like 900 to 1,000 tickets like available, and I think they're set up for like a 1,500 seat setup. So I don't know how they're going to accommodate for that. Hopefully, as the time comes, they're making the New Japan that is making the proper provisions to properly market the show in the area to the right fans and audience to kind of increase, or hopefully there's a buzz that's going on just amongst the local wrestling fandom, because there is a wrestling scene out here. But if you've got the time and you've got the money and you're in the area, I'd highly recommend you attend the show because you'll probably be kicking yourself if you miss this one.
Yeah, and we had a question here from friend of the show, Zach, who will be out there for the show as well. He says, do you guys have a match you're looking forward to seeing at this weekend's Strong Style Evolve show?
All of these matches are really awesome, and I mean, there's a lot of things to be excited for, but I'm just going to go chalk on this one and say Tom Lawler against Clark Connors. It's for the title. They've been building to Clark Connors kind of taking that step up against a guy like Tom Lawler for a long time, and every time Tom Lawler defends the title, he knocks it out of the park, and I think this is an awesome opportunity to kind of showcase Clark and maybe even coronate him. So I don't know who's going to win that match, but that's got to be the one that I'm most excited for.
Yeah, that's going to be a very anticipated matchup. For me, another one that I'm looking forward to is Jay White versus Chris Sabin. I've been a Chris Sabin mark for a long time. I don't think I've ever gotten to see him wrestle live. So this will be a pretty cool opportunity to see him live and just see what's going on with this whole, new Bull Club machine gun rivalry that's happening in Impact.
Nice. Well, let's move on here.
Yeah, so this past Saturday, we had night 2 of the Rivals Tour in Hollywood, California. Show opened up. We had Hecaleo defeating Kevin Knight 18 minutes and 13 seconds. Thought Kevin Knight looked really good here. Showed a lot of athleticism, a ton of fire. And Hecaleo was giving him a lot here, but ultimately got cut off and ended with a chokeslam.
Good match for both guys. I thought that Kevin Knight had a really awesome comeback sequence towards the tail end of the match. And then I don't remember what it was Hecaleo did, but there was some move that he hit Kevin Knight with at the very tail end, right before he finished it, that it looked like he knocked the soul out of Kevin Knight's
It was a
body.
chop. He ran into a chop of Hecaleo's.
Oh, it was an overhand chop. He was in the air and he killed him with it. It was so awesome.
Yeah, his sweat just flew and he just died from it. It was awesome.
I think it is going to be interesting going forward to kind of see where Hecaleo aligns with what's going on with Bullet Club. I'll just throw that out there.
Definitely, and we'll talk about that some more here in a second. Second match, we had Kevin Blackwood making his strong debut. He defeated Arya Daivari, and we had the whole story here of Daivari trying to play it clean, and he tried to do that, and once again kind of backfired when he went for the chair and decided not to do it, and that cost him the match there. And then we had the post-match beatdown, letting out his frustrations.
Yeah, so, they've been telling this story for a bit here about Arya Daivari being conflicted, trying to go the right way, and it looks like his, natural tendencies got the better of him here, and his true nature came to light, unfortunately. A lot of people talking about Kevin Blackwood here. I thought he was good. I've heard that he's kind of been labeled as one of the pillar killers in AEW. I don't know if he's been featured a bit on Dark. Is that where because I haven't seen him on any of the proper shows.
Yeah, I mean, he was on Dark a lot during the pandemic, but lately he's done a ton of indie stuff with Daniel Garcia and Utah and some of those guys.
Gotcha. This was my only exposure to him, and I thought the match was good. I don't think it was enough for me to make a proper assessment of him personally. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. I've heard glowing things about him, and I've heard very negative things about him, and I'm kind of still on the fence when it comes to Kevin Blackwood.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I mean, his stuff on Dark has been mainly squash matches, so not a lot for him to really show there. And then in this match, I thought he was fine. Also, I think it was more about Daivari and his story. So, and it was kind of the mid card match. Not a ton of time here. They got almost 9 minutes. So definitely, open to seeing more from him.
If there was one thing I will say, I liked his strikes.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he had some pretty good kicks.
We had a question here about his look from Fit Beautiful 2638. Says, we make fun of Doki's bad look all the time, but did you see Blackwood's debut on Strong? Is his pink mohawk and body covered with bad tattoos look, several of which are blacked out like he has had a tattoo over to cover up gang tattoos or ex-girlfriend or something? worse than Doki's. Who wins the Ugly Stick Award for NJPW?
That's funny. I like how he said we make fun of Doki's bad look all the time, but like I've never heard Fit Beautiful make fun of Doki, so I think what he's doing there is speaking about the podcast as though he is part of it, which I appreciate because I do that with New Japan. I don't work for New Japan. They don't cut me a check. You know what I mean? Like, but I'll be like, man, we really got to get it together. This company's not doing so hot. So I appreciate anytime someone, speaks with ownership when it comes to keeping a strong style.
Us.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think that he had like a killer look, but I don't think any of the aesthetics were really, I wasn't too far down on them. I don't know. Like to me, he just kind of honestly looked like a guy.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of looked like an indie guy you would see any weekend on an indie show.
Yeah, and that's not to say like negative or positive. That's the deal. So yeah.
So then we go to the main event of the show, the USOJ Open Challenge, and it was answered by Swerve, the realist Strickland, making his strong debut. Getting the match, before the match starts, Jay tries to get Swerve to join the Bullet Club and thought it too sweet and not have a match, but ended up eating a boot to the face, and then we got a really great match from there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would want to see Swerve as a member of the Bullet Club necessarily, but I thought this match was really, really, really good. In my opinion, it might be the most impressive Jay White match that I've personally seen since, say, like the Freddie Ahai match. So, I mean, and I haven't seen all of Jay's work in Impact. I will say that I've heard some really good things about the match with like Alex Shelley and like Eric Young. So, from all reports, he's doing really well. But I definitely liked this more than the Christopher Daniels match. I liked it more than the Jay Lethal match as well, which I thought was really good. So him and Swerve went out there, and I thought that they really, for just over 15 minutes, kind of tore the house down and, worked really well together. Jay's chops, man, he was lighting Swerve up here. And, he got kind of taken to his limit. He had to like reach into his bag of tricks and got the win over Swerve. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Swerve come back to New Japan. Well, we're going to see him obviously here on Sunday, but I wouldn't be opposed to him continuing to work for New Japan like long term.
Yeah, he did mention, in an interview that he initially reached out to Will Osprey when his contract was up, and Will was trying to get him over to New Japan. So yeah, hopefully we can mention we got him on strong on Saturday or on Sunday against Blake Christian, but we have been seeing AEW guys continue to work strong, so I'm hoping he will be one of those guys that will get to continue to work strong. And then once the borders open up, definitely sounds like there's interest for him to go to Japan. So that would be cool to see him in like a G1 or some kind of big matchup show.
But hey, I'll put it to you this way: if you missed this match, I give it a big recommendation. It was better than most of the singles matches we see in the New Japan Cup this year. So
yeah. And then next week we'll have night 3 of the Rivals Tour main event. House of Black's Buddy Matthews will take on Ren Narita. Bullet Club's Chris Bay will take on Blake Christian. And then we'll have an opener of Keita Murray, Freddie Ahai, and the DKC versus Stray Dog Army of Bateman, Mysterioso, and Barrett Brown. So now let's jump into New Japan Cup action. So we left off.
Well, Jeremy, this is what I'd like to do.
Okay.
Because, there's a lot of there's just so many preview tags on the undercards. Instead of running down the winners of all those, and then trying to figure out which ones had the different angles that we need to discuss, why don't we just have a general discussion on the stories and the angles that we kind of been seeing playing out on those undercards, and then just talk about the tournament matches.
Yeah. So I guess the main story that's been happening on all the undercard matches is what's going on with Bullet Club. We've had several Bullet Club multi-man matches on these nights. And of course, Kevin Kelly's playing it up on commentary, what's going on. We had several promos backstage with Gato telling all these Bullet Club guys, they need to pick the right side. They need to pick Jay White's side. They need to throw the too sweet up. Don't throw it down. So we saw a lot of people kind of debating on whether they're throwing it up, whether they're throwing it down in all these multi-man matches.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of been what's been playing out over this whole time. And the interesting thing is like this is all stemming from the angle that we discussed the other week where Jay White turned on God at an Impact, premium live event, as they're called, and kind of reintroduced the Good Brothers back into the Bull Club and sort of ousted God, or at least that's what he was claiming to have done. And all the newspapers are saying like, no, New Japan's not, they're not out of the Bull Club. It's just kind of caused a rift, and it still needs to play out. And this whole time, like Jay's in America. He's not in Japan, so he hasn't really been there to advocate. Gato's kind of been acting as his mouthpiece, sort of applying the pressure to all the different Bullet Club members, letting them know, like you mentioned, what they need to do. In the same respect, we haven't really seen God back in Japan. They've been in America as well. And later on in the tour, they finally arrive, and that sort of sets up the, the kind of like ultimate showdown for what is everybody going to do when it comes to Tama and Tangaloa, and their allegiance. Are they going to side with Jay? Or are they going to side with, Bullet Club OG Tama Tonga? It's,
Right. There's also a choice to be made there. And also, I think a lot of people are interested on like what are guys like Bad Luck Fale and Chase going to do, especially Fale, also being a Tongan and just kind of being one of the core four of Bullet Club with Tama Tonga. Would he side with them? We saw in the
and his literal cousin.
Right, yeah. We saw in the first Bullet Club Civil War, obviously he was kind of on the firing squad side of things. So that was a debate there, and there's a lot of back and forth what's going to happen here. And then also, House of Torture, like we've been talking about for months now, has felt like its own entity. Doesn't really feel like Bullet Club. Well, this is the first time we were starting to see through these undercards some House of Torture guys starting to team back up with regular Bullet Club guys. Like we saw Gato and Sho on night 4. There were some nights where Yujiro teamed with some of the Bullet Club guys. So we started seeing those guys kind of make their way, kind of intermingle with some of these other Bullet Club guys. But a lot of people thought, maybe Evil would have his own kind of side of this. Maybe it's picking between Jay, Evil, and Tama. But
right.
Ultimately, we found out really just a choice between Jay and Tama.
Right. And some of those other kind of lingering threads could still play out later on. We saw that occur the last time they tried to do a story like this. Like, what are the Tongans going to do? Well, we found out much later. I feel like the House of Torture is sort of in a similar spot. But like you mentioned, they did start teaming with Bullet Club proper members for the first time in a long time. So that kind of put the kibosh on some of the talk amongst New Japan fans where they're like, House of Torture is not Bullet Club. Well, they're very clearly Bullet Club, just as Kota Ibushi used to be part of the Bullet Club when he was teaming with Chase Owens and Yujiro all that time back in the day, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. But speaking of that, another thing that's been playing out on the undercard, so during the anniversary show, we saw a multi-man tag team match where the reigning IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Desperado was on the losing side of a tag team match to the Strong Hearts. And so I think a lot of people were kind of like gearing up, like, oh shit, this is going to lead to like him and El Lindemann or him and T-Hawk. They've been building to this. But then comes to find out later on in this tour, it's just Sho. Sho decided to, during one of the nights, attack freaking Desperado, and then for the rest of the tour he's just kind of been doing that periodically every couple nights, whether it's attacking him with the belt or attacking him before a match or after a match with the wrench, what have you. But he's made his intentions very clear that he wants a shot at the title. He wants to be next in line, and it looks like that's what we're getting, is a not show but a House of Torture bullshit show versus reigning champion Desperado.
Yeah, I was not very excited when I saw that on the Night 6 show with Show making the attack and holding up the belt. And like you mentioned, we've been seeing that all throughout the rest of the tour now. These guys are in multi-man, so they're jumping each other. Yeah, we're going to get this House of Torture show against Despy, and we've talked about sometimes Despy, well, wrestle down to the level of the guy he's in there with. And so obviously Show's going to be doing a lot of shenanigans. Suzuki Gun in the past has done a lot of shenanigans, so we're probably going to get both of these guys trying to out-cheat each other. Are probably going to get run-ins from both House of Torture and Suzuki Gun in this match, and I'm not really thrilled about it.
One last story, and unless I'm missing anything here, but the one thing that we haven't really seen play out just yet, but there have been a lot of teases and allusions to it during the tour and during their multi-man matches, are whether or not we're going to see members of the United Empire compete against one another in the New Japan Cup. Now, Jeff Cobb is obviously sort of precluded from this since he's on the left side of the bracket, and unless he makes it to the final against another member, that seems unlikely. But as of right now, it still seems that it's possible that we could be getting um, Will Osprey versus the Great Okan. I'm not confident that that's exactly what's going to play out, but they've been teasing that quite a bit in the commentary and sort of the post matches. There's just a little bit, even though they're cohesive, it's a little bit of tension there. And I guess we'll find out here on the next night what's going to happen as far as those guys go. But, for the time being, that's sort of the thing that they've been teasing.
Yeah. One other thing that started getting teased out on today's show, it looks like we have new challengers for the junior tag titles. So on today's show, there was an opening tag with Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori taking on Wato and I think it was Vegeta. They had an opening tag match where Bull Club, they won, and then they attacked Wato afterward. Taguchi ran down and made the save, and ELP and Taiji made it very clear that they want a shot at the tag team titles.
Yeah, full disclosure, I've kind of just been like hopping around when it comes to so for the undercards, I've kind of watched it all, but like I watched it on like hyper speed. So like if I missed something, but
well, to be completely honest, like for most of the undercard stuff that I pay attention to was the Bull Club stuff, and pretty much all the preview matches I kind of fast forwarded just to the finishes.
That's pretty much what I've been doing, and I mean, dude, you can't really fault anybody for doing that. Look how many subsequent shows they've done in successive order, night after night after night. I mean, this is a lot for anybody. This is more than most G1s.
Yeah, especially this past week of stretch. We're like in the middle of like a 8-day like a run show that they're doing here. Every day it's matches, and then you have like maybe 2 or 3 tournament matches chock full of all these preview matches.
Well, with that being the case, we'll talk about the actual tournament matches here in a minute. But one thing I just wanted to point out, this wasn't like a secret. We did the preview a few weeks ago, kind of talking about what to expect from this tournament. But seeing it play out in real time has been a little jarring. Did you hear that rumble?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this giant lightning, and then I didn't hear any thunder. It's not raining here at all, and then super delay. There's some thunder out there. So, but anyways, but seeing it play out in real time has been a little jarring, just because, man, I mean, you got a lot of New Japan Cup matches that are filled with guys that are competent, but I mean, not really like blow away matches that really get you excited. There have been very few surprises or upsets, and most of the tournament has gone completely chalk. And that's to be expected considering how many dads, how many juniors, how many young lions were involved in this tournament. And then, you kind of see the undercards, and I mean, it's not that they didn't always, it's New Japan. They always have preview tags and stuff like that. But because the tour is so lengthy, considering that they had 5 rounds of New Japan Cup, it really kind of exposes, how sort of shallow the storytelling is right now, just because so much of it is centered on the tournament, and the tournament is breadth of, compelling storylines and compelling matches, it just kind of waters down what could have been a really good New Japan Cup if you did it with, like, say, 16 guys instead of 48 guys.
Right, yeah, and I get it's the 50th year anniversary. They're trying to do the biggest New Japan Cup ever, and obviously in a non-COVID world, with the amount of talent they could have brought in to potentially fill out the 48 spots, we probably could have gotten a great 48-man tournament that way. But with COVID and the restrictions and who we got, I think they should have, just like you mentioned, gone on to 16. Even if they did 32, I mean, there's a lot of guys that could have been trimmed out of this to enhance the tournament, and even just some match placement. I feel like there was just a lot of first round matchups that were just kind of there, or I feel like there could have been some more intriguing matchups in the opening of the tournament.
Well, I feel like this tournament is very representative of a lot of the issues that we're seeing in New Japan right now. So, I mean, there's so many shows because they're trying to draw as much money as they possibly can to recoup their losses over this pandemic era. And so that's something we've seen the past few years when it comes to New Japan, and that's totally on display when it comes to the New Japan Cup layout that they have here. And then at the same time, there's not a lot of major ongoing feuds. They're much more like short, contained stories because that's what they're required to do, because the threat of COVID is always still kind of looming around the corner, even though it looks like we're kind of getting out of the weeds with that. And you can kind of see that represented here in the booking. And then look at how much House of Torture and even Bullet Club is, because Bullet Club is sort of realigning with House of Torture. It's becoming more just bullshit laden in their matches. So I mean, and your undercard tags typically have at least 2 Bullet Club matches every night if some of those guys aren't also in the tournament. And so you're just seeing so much Togoism. Some nights there's even like 3, Bullet Club matches. So I mean, you're seeing that on full display here too. So it's not like, even if you just turned on the show and you just wanted those undercard matches to be like kind of fun, fast paced, whatever, New Japan style tag team matches. Instead, you're getting 2 to 3 Bullet Club bullshit matches. You're like, fuck, why do I want to watch that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, there's just so much here and then at the very end, we're getting to the point now to where, like, we've had a few great matches. We had a lot of mid matches. The tail end of this tournament's probably going to be full of classics. And how many, like, major pay-per-views of New Japan have been like that? Like, the undercard of the show kind of sucked. There's some good stuff in the middle. And then at the top of the card, they still blow it out of the water. And people point to that and they're like, the company's doing great. And then other people are like, but look at this shit in the middle.
Right, yeah. Look at all stuff that happened before that great match.
And then we're here on this podcast being like, offending everybody because we're like, it's still great, but it kind of sucks. But it's still great, but it also sucks. And we have to call all of it out,
Right. Oh man, yeah. Just so much going on, and hopefully there is some news that kind of feels like things might be turning the corner finally, and maybe we'll at least getting some, as far as getting people in. I haven't really heard much about fans being allowed to clap again or make noise again, so hopefully that's around the corner as well.
Well, let's get into the actual tournament matches here. And I mean, I got to tell you, Jeremy, there's a lot of these matches that I watched them in full, but I don't have a lot. I'll tell you the ones I got thoughts on. I'll tell you the ones that I just thought were whatever,
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, same here. So yeah, let's start here with night 4. We had 3 second-round matches. First was Hiroki Goto defeating Dick Togo, 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, see, this is a shining example. It's Goto versus Dick Togo, and it's like, I will say this: if Dick Togo was allowed to go out there and perform to the level of his current capabilities would allow him to, this could have actually been a really fun, really awesome match. Instead, we got stooge Dick Togo with the Groat Wire, and it's the same thing as watching a Jado or a Gato match, which in singles, which you don't want to see, and we've gotten too much of that in this cup, and this is another example. So, Goto got past him. Everyone knew he would. And the match was bogged down with all the Togoism, and it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to add. Like, if you close your eyes and picture a Goto versus Dick Togo match, that's what you got. Goto gets to win, Ushi and moves on. Actually, no, he used that armbar gimmick that he's been using, that he won the New Japan Cup with back in the day.
I will say that Goto's been introducing a lot of new moves to his arsenal recently, like a new pinfall and a new like submission. But at the same time, isn't that his whole career? Isn't this a guy that just always comes up with, instead of like having one really devastating move that's super over, like say a one-winged angel, for instance, Goto's had like 5 finishers in like a decade, and I can't remember all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea that this armbar was something he used in the past. But yeah, he used it in previous New Japan Cups. So yeah, got the tap out victory over
Yeah,
Togo.
I think he beat Tanahashi with that in the first one, if I recall, back in like 2012.
Yeah. So then after that, we had Shima defeating Yoshinobu Kanemaru, 14 minutes and 46 seconds.
I will say this. I really like this match. It wasn't like blowaway or anything like that, but I thought Kanemaru and Shima worked. This is kind of how I felt about most of Shima's matches in this tournament. None of them have been like out of this world, but they just put him in there with like really good hands, guys that he can just go out there and like kind of kill it with. And they're all hitting this like 3.5-star mark where, they're really good matches for what they are.
Yeah, his matches have been really fun to watch, and like we talked about last week with Chris, like there seems to be a different like energy and atmosphere anytime Shima and the Strong Hearts come out, and the crowd is really behind them. I know it's kind of hard to tell without the cheering, but just the way they're clapping and even some of like the vocal noise they're making when people kind of oohing and all some of the stuff that Shima does, he definitely has captured the audience attention, and yeah, his matches have always been fun to watch, and it's exciting to see him getting this far and getting pretty deep into the tournament.
Yeah, and I'll also say this before we move forward. I'm like 52-1 when it comes to my New Japan Cup prediction. So I gotta be close to the leader of that tournament or the the Sport of Pro Wrestling prediction contest right now.
Yeah, I haven't checked the rankings lately, but I know you were. The last time I looked a couple days ago, you were one of the people that were kind of in, I think, that either that top 10 or like top 15 list.
Fuck yeah.
So then the main event of this evening, the last second round match for this evening was Kazuchika Okada, the champ, the Rainmaker, defeating Master Wato 18 minutes and 34 seconds.
So this match was fine. I'll say this. I've been a little disappointed in Wato the last 2 big matches he had, this one and then also the match with Desperado. And now he's definitely much improved over where he was when he first returned from excursion and everything like that. But that's 2 really, really big opportunities. And I mean, he's not like wrestling like say a dope. Like if you put Doki in these spots, he would have fucking killed it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He would have jacked Okada up.
Right, but instead there's sort of like a complacency, I think, to the match. And one thing I noticed was I do think Wato tried hard. And if you want my hot take, I don't think this match was much different from the Desperado match. Other than obviously the Desperado match had a really, really incredible finish. But Okada gave a lot to Wato, just like he did Desperado. But the difference was the crowd fell completely silent for everything Wato did. And the crowd was living and breathing with Desperado earlier in the tournament. And I think a lot of that just comes down to like credibility and believability. I don't think it's all down to Wato not, having it or not like performing to the best of his abilities. But I kind of noticed as the match continued and the crowd just got quieter and quieter, that his confidence just diminished even more so as the match went on. And I felt bad for the guy because I felt like he was wrestling fine. Not like blow away, but he was wrestling fine. But nobody believed blue hair Wato was going to beat Okada. Like nobody. And that's kind of the issue with a tournament like this with the way it's laid out.
Right, especially coming to the second round. This should not be a second round matchup, and especially a main event of a show here. For me, I don't know. I kind of felt like Okada was kind of sleepwalking his way through this match. Like
yeah,
like also he was wrestling. Everything was mechanics were fine. There was no botches or anything, but I didn't feel like he was going all out. Like I felt in the Despy match, it was a different level. He was going all out. He was, giving that traditional New Japan Okada main event style. And here he was just kind of sleepwalking his way through, kind of going through the motions, and just had a fine like gentleman's three style matchup here with Wato.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't, and then I have to imagine the crowd, them not reacting. As a performer, I'm sure he feeds off that too.
Yeah.
One thing I will say though, you said that this shouldn't be a second round match, and I agree with you. The one thing that would have made it something where it's like, oh, Gato was brilliant in booking this is if Wato had stepped outside of his comfort zone and really given this guy a match that people could talk about afterwards. You know what I mean? Because then you're like, oh, they're giving guys fresh opportunities and they're making the most of it. And that kind of like, for instance, Hiromu, the first time he was in the New Japan Cup, we were just raving about all the awesome matches he was having during that tournament 2 years ago. You didn't get that with Wato here,
Right, yeah. He's been given these opportunities, like you mentioned, and has just not been knocking them out of the park. Like his wrestling is fine. He's gotten better from his debut. But yeah, you're handed over here a main event with the world champ, with Okada, the Golden Boy, and nobody's talking about this match at all.
At all, except for us.
Yeah. So we did have a couple questions here. The Dark Soldier asked Okada. He said Okada straight up punked out Wato, not covering him, and basically saying, "I expected better. He's supposed to be a babyface. What an asshole."
I don't even know what he's talking about. Did he not cover him at some point?
I'm trying to remember the finish of the match here. Did he like put his foot on him? I can't remember now exactly.
Dude, I don't remember.
I don't remember the finish exactly how he pinned him here, but I'm sure it was something that was disrespectful. And then Ethan Black here has a joke question. He says, since Okada beat Desperado and Wato, does he get a shot at their titles?
Too tall.
So let's move on here to night 5. So we once again had some more second round matches here. 4 matches this night. So the first match we had Yoshi defeating Kosei Vegeta, 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
Good match. Vegeta, did as much as could be expected from a young lion, as green as he is at 9 minutes in a New Japan Cup. Yoshihashi got him out of there.
Yeah, nothing much more to add there. I thought Vegeta looked good, and good win here for Yoshihashi. So following that, we had Tetsuya Naito defeating Gato at 14 minutes and 18 seconds.
This went far, far too long. Very similar to what I said earlier about the Dick Togo match, but it's even worse because it's Gato and Naito. And this is probably the worst match of the tournament, maybe, or if not one of them.
Yeah, this went way, way too long, especially for the style of match that Gato wrestles, where it's a lot of him talking, there's a lot of shenanigans, there's a lot of ref bumps, there's a lot of, trying to get the brass knuckles and low blows and interference and all that stuff, and all that just for, Naito to have to try and overcome him when it's like, we all know Naito's going to win. Make it quick and painless, but they didn't do that here. Went through all the dog and pony show, and then Naito eventually beat Gato. So following that, we had in the main event spot, we had Jeff Cobb defeating my man Satoshi Kojima, 15 minutes and 36 seconds.
This was fine. This is probably the match of the night. I would have probably gone like 3.5 on it. They've been giving Jeff Cobb quite an awesome run through the tournament. And I felt like Kojima, did everything in his power to really have a good, compelling match with Cobb. I feel like I've seen them wrestle before and had a bet. Maybe like in last year's New Japan Cup, I think they might have had a better match, but this one was. And didn't they just wrestle recently too?
I'm trying to remember.
No, that was Kojima and
Okan. Yeah.
But in either case, I liked the finish where Kojima's setting up the lariat and everything like that, and kind of getting people to sort of second guess whether or not he could pull the upset on Cobb. But unfortunately, Cobb puts him away. Very, very awkward tour of the islands. I think I don't know what the miscommunication was there, but they went out there. They had a match. I don't think it was blow away or anything, but it's probably the match of the night, I guess.
Yeah, I also went 3.5 on this match. I thought Kojima looked really good here, and it was bringing it to Cobb. It was his he did a nasty DT to Cobb on the apron, and Cobb spiked himself, looked really good for that. Kojima was kind of bringing it to Cobb, and we hadn't had any upset yet. So, like you mentioned, it was could be believable that an upset could happen, and Kojima was going for that big lariat towards the end there. And like you mentioned, Cobb caught him, but he caught him awkwardly, but still was able to hit him with the Tour of the Islands and get the win here. So then the main event of the show, last second round match for this show, was the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, defeating Bad Luck Fale with Chase Owens at 15 minutes and 1 second. And something that did happen on one of the preview matches was Fale hitting a drop kick to Tanahashi's knee, which was kind of the story here of this match, with Fale targeting the damaged knee of Tanahashi.
Oh no! Someone picks a body part of Hiroshi Tanahashi and exploits it. I've never seen that before. Literally, it doesn't matter what you target. Neck, that's a good target. Knees, great targets. Biceps, go for it. Back, sure. This guy doesn't have any part of his body that's not in bad shape,
Right.
But this is the one black mark on my prediction contest, because I got too cute with it, and I figured someone's got to get upset, and I figured there's no way they're gonna do Tanahashi and Naito on the third round of the tournament or whatever, but I was wrong. And it doesn't matter how good Bad Luck Fale's dojo show is, or how much weight he's lost, or how much this tournament probably needed a big surprise upset. He was not able to take out Tanahashi's knees. He was not able to overwhelm him with battering offense. And ultimately, Tanahashi was able to get past Bad Luck Fale once again, 15 minutes, 1 second.
Yeah, that was, even for me, that was kind of a surprise. I also had Fale winning, and we know that Fale has beaten Tanahashi before in the past, and it seemed like it made sense with Fale kind of coming in, all the Bull Club stuff going in, and then even the whole angle the night before of him putting the attack on Tanahashi's leg. It seems like you could have done a little bit of something here with Fale, but Tanahashi was able to roll up Fale at the end of the matchup here and get the win, knocking Fale out of the tournament. So kind of a surprising win, because I feel like a lot of other people had Fale also with like you mentioned, there weren't many upsets, and so I think a lot of people had Fale kind of circled for the quote-unquote upset win here and to move on. And we did have a question here from Less Commission 7252. Says, after watching and hearing Chase Owens on commentary with Kevin Kelly, is he better than Phantasmo when he was on commentary with Kevin Kelly last year? I don't know if I would say Chase was better than ELP, but I thought Chase was very good. I was popping for a lot of the stuff Chase was saying, and I think he's really good at commentary.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't feel like this is the first time Chase Owens has been on commentary with Kevin Kelly.
No, he's definitely done it before.
But I felt like he's gotten better at it. Even though I don't totally recall him being on the call before, he did a really great job here. I don't know if he's better than Phantasmo. Phantasmo really took to it like fish to water. So
yeah, but Chase had a ton of one-liners that were popping me, and it's kind of reminding me of Bobby Heenan. You have Kevin Kelly being a straight man, and then somebody that's just kind of throwing these one-liners and comments and jokes out, and it was just it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler,
Yeah.
And him and Jerry Lawler might have something in common,
Oh boy. So moving on to night 6, March 12th. We had more second round action. The first tournament match was Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Doki, 15 minutes and 3 seconds. And the night before, there was a preview match where after the match, Doki attacked Sabre. He got the pipe, swung at Sabre, did a Hurricane Rana, threw Saber out the ring and was teasing a dive on him. And then we even saw here in the beginning of this match, Doki was all fired up and didn't care that he was in the same faction as this man. He wanted to show this man that he is not going back to Mexico.
Yeah, that takes precedence. Number one priority, never going back to Mexico. Number two priority, Suzuki-gun, allegiance, basically. It goes in that order.
Yes.
But, I will say this, because I didn't get to do the review for the first few weeks of the tournament with you guys. So, I never gave my thoughts on, like, say, Desperado and Okada or Ishii and Shingo, that sort of thing. But from this stretch of shows that we're recording or that we're reviewing here, this has got to be one of my most recommended matches of the stretch. Now, I'm not going to go overboard and say, this was a classic on some sort of like mythical level. But for what it was, this is the kind of thing that you like to see from a New Japan Cup match. It's a guy who is a no-hoper in Doki. Don't get it twisted. He has no shot at being Zack Sabre Jr. Being a junior, being a very lowly slotted junior, obviously. And it doesn't really matter. He still went out there and was like, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity and really showcase what I can do. And they went out there and they had like an awesome match for a 15-minute junior versus heavyweight interfactional match. I mean, dude, like what I really loved about it was Doki doing so many things to Zack that we haven't really seen a lot of other people do, because we haven't gotten to see Zack wrestle a lot of high flyers or junior guys, and Doki is kind of a more unconventional style. He's sort of like a grimier, lucha style wrestler, and so he went out there and did a lot of things that like Zack's character didn't necessarily. He wasn't prepared for. He wasn't expecting. Really got him off of his game, put him out of his comfort zone, and then a lot of the Yave style of Doki as well, and kind of showcasing what he learned there on the on the dirt floors in Tijuana. And that was sort of his undoing, where Zack was able to kind of counter a lot of that Yave and kind of gain the upper hand. And but they went out there and they had a banger. I'm probably like 3 3/4, 4 stars, maybe more. I don't know. If someone told me they're like 4 1/4 on this, maybe that's too high, but like, damn, it was really fucking good. And I like the finish. One thing I've noticed with Zack, he's doing a lot of different moves and a lot of different finishers that we have, and he's done this in the past, but like, it feels like the last time where he was really just unleashing a lot of new killer moves was the last time he won the New Japan Cup. And it does get me wondering, as we're seeing things unfold, is he going to go further in this tournament than I originally expected? But man, he went out there, and I think him and Doki, like, they had an awesome match this night.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this matchup too. I think I went 4 stars flat on it. Just an awesome matchup. You talk about guys who get opportunities. Doki, every time he gets an opportunity, he kills it. Whether it's him facing off of Hiromu, being in the Super Juniors, getting a shot here in the New Japan Cup. Also, everybody pretty much, you mentioned, thought that Sabre was going to get through Doki here. But this was a very compelling match, starting with the angle the previous night with Doki showing that he wants to bring the fight to Sabre, and then Doki jumping Sabre during his entrance for this match, and just the back and forth, like you mentioned, the high flying. Doki was like a man possessed, just kind of throwing everything he could at Sabre. And then every time he would get a ton of momentum, Sabre would eventually find a way to cut him off with a submission. But then Doki would fight his way out and continue to fight back. And the Italian stretch, I think number 32 it is, or what it's called the Doki Choki. Doki tried to use a couple times, but obviously Sabre, being a submission master, wasn't going to let Doki tap him out, and was able to eventually get in the Cremation Lily, which is that stump puller maneuver that he used to defeat Juice in the G1.
Yeah, this almost looked a little different than that even. But yeah, that's the first thing I thought when I saw it. And I was like, damn, what the fuck?
We had a question here from the Dark Soldier. He says, Doki handled himself pretty well against Zack recently and against Taichi earlier in the year. If he can handle the former tag team champs, can Doki handle over the other tag teams by himself? I think so because Doki is a threat. What say you?
Man, he needs to. I mean, before we start talking about Doki going on a Ryback run, beating two guys at a time, maybe he can just start beating some juniors. Maybe get a title shot. Let's focus on that.
Let's get him a big singles win here first.
I don't need Brodus Clay Doki. I just need like top of the junior card Doki.
Right. Oh man, but yeah, definitely recommended match here from this night. Then we move on to Great Okan defeating Taiji Ishimori, and there was a preview match last week where Taiji and Fale had defeated Okan and Cobb, so Taiji coming in with a little bit of momentum here.
Yeah, this was good. I mean, we've seen Taiji Ishimori have matches with heavier weight wrestlers and kind of seen how that plays out. I thought him and Okan had a good match here and kind of played off one another well. Nothing to blow away, nothing that really stands out in my memory, but it was fine. Okan's the heavyweight. He's the favorite guy. He goes over, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, Ishimori, he targeted Okan's left arm in the match here. So obviously Okan being the bigger man, Ishimori was trying to break him down a little bit, and plus it also sets up for both of Ishimori's submission holds, the bone lock and I think bone cruncher, or whatever the other one that he does now. So he was working on the arm, trying to set up the submissions here, but Okan was just able to outpower him and was eventually able to avoid a low blow and hit Ishimori with the eliminator.
Now, I am the individual that famously booked Great Okan to win this entire tournament, and I'm not saying it's not still possible, but I am nervous. I'm nervous about my prediction that Okan's going to win the tournament because they've had this man losing on some of these undercard matches, and they don't have him picking up all the wins on the undercards. And, that kind of, I don't know, that gives me pause for concern,
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I mean, so far they mentioned on commentary, he has the most singles matches this year and most singles victories. Obviously, a lot of that is against dads and young lions and guys like Hanma, but he's on a hot streak right now as far as singles matches.
Well, I didn't like that they had him lose on some of the undercards and put my prediction aside. Just going back to the fact that they have him on this hot streak, I don't see the sense in having him be the fall guy in tag matches that they have, especially when many of those matches he's teaming with Hanare, which I know not everyone wants Hanare to be losing either, but if you got Okan going on this undefeated hot streak, why would you diminish that in any way by having him be the fall guy during tag matches? It seems so weird to me.
Yeah, I think especially in the Fale Ishimori match, I think they were just trying to play out that potentially Ishimori could pull out an upset and beat him.
Yeah, we'll see. If they are trying to throw people off of the Great Okan scent, they're doing a really good job of it right now.
Yeah.
Like if they're still going to have him win the tournament, I say still as if that was ever going to be the case. but if that's what they're trying to do and they want people to not expect it, they're killing it.
Yeah. So then the semi-main event, we had Will Osprey defeating El Phantasmo, 17 minutes and 31 seconds.
This is my hot take, Jeremy. I know you're going to disagree with me. I didn't love this match. Now, let's be very clear here. I've kind of come around on Phantasmo over the past year or so, compared to how I originally viewed him when he came into the company. And I know I've been a little critical of some of his matches with Will Osprey in the past, especially when they were both juniors. So going into this match, considering everything that's been going on with Phantasmo, the fact that he has this mental blocking, can't hit the sudden death apparently, and the history between him and Will, and Phantasmo might potentially be going up heavyweight, so this could be like a good barometer for what his potential is. There was a lot to be excited for here. Plus, big boy Will, former world champion Will Osprey. It's a totally different dynamic. And yes, I thought that they went out there, and I felt like the opener was incredible. I felt like the close was incredible. I felt like every once in a while there was a cool spot, but the bulk of this match was kind of just slow, meandering, paced wrestling, which kind of confused me considering the fact that it's Will Ospreay and El Phantasmo. Um, I did, and then plus everything that they were doing in the preview tag matches was so impressive. I sort of expected to get like a, I don't want to say exactly a Ricochet Osprey match, but maybe something closer to what we've seen from Phantasmo and Osprey in the past. Um, it was not a bad match at all, but I've seen people praising this like it was like a really, really great match. I don't think it touched the Doki Zack Sabre match from the same night. Probably 3 3/4. It was fine, and Will Ospreay went over, which is to be expected. I thought ELP had a good accounting of himself, but I'm just not. The only time I've ever liked Osprey and Phantasmo as a pairing was that first really great Rev Pro match they had before ELP ever came to the company. But since he's come to the company, I haven't really loved most of their matches, and I got to say, I think this is the lowest of all the Osprey Phantasmo New Japan matches.
Mm. Well, yeah, that's definitely a hot take, especially seeing some of the other ratings on Grapple and Cage Match. It seems like most people have this match around 4.25. Me being one of them, I went 4.25 on this match. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. To me, I thought it was fast paced. Also, there was a ton of flips, a ton of cool spots that continue the story of Phantasmo not being able to hit the sudden death and kind of losing his confidence, and so kind of having to go to all the other tricks in his book to try and beat Osprey until you get to the very end where he finally rebuilds confidence that he's going to throw a super kick, but Osprey cuts him off at the last second with the hidden blade and gets the win. But I don't know, there's a lot of cool spots, a lot of cool counters, a lot of back and forth, a lot of cool that looked really cool here, and I don't know, I really enjoyed the match.
Well, here's the other thing too is like I've been binging these shows, so when you said that to me, I thought to myself, I should go back and rewatch it. But then I thought, but I've got like 3 more nights of New Japan Cup I need to watch, so I can't afford, from a time management standpoint, to go back and watch Will Ospreay and ELP. So I'm just gonna have to forever let that one lie dormant, and I'll always be right and you're wrong. It just wasn't that good.
Well, then the main event here, we had Sonata defeating Aaron Hanare, 25 minutes and 7 seconds.
I believe that our theory that Sonata is a really good wrestler who can have great matches with great wrestlers and good matches with good wrestlers holds up here. I did not feel in this instance that this was a match where in a main event spot, Hanare was given an opportunity to go with one of the best in the company, and they got a lot of time, 25 minutes. I did not feel that in that scenario, either of these two guys lived up to the expectations or the hopes of what they could have done out here. This did not give me, watching this, a lot of confidence in a Sonata U.S. title run. I think there's a lot of people kind of still on the fence as to what to expect from that. With him having to follow guys like John Moxley and Kenta and Tanahashi, and we kind of know what to expect match wise from them. And with Sonata, it's very inconsistent, and we saw what he can do against a guy that's less experienced and never been really given the opportunity. And it was just a fine match. Neither one of them did anything wrong, you know, but no one did anything that really got me popping or really got me out of my seat. And the big, I don't want to put all this on Sonata. A lot of it is on Aaron Hanare. This is the second time in a New Japan Cup where they've put him in a really big spot. The last time I think was against Jay White, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And he went out there in a main event spot and just kind of had a fine match. Same complaint that we've had about guys like Wato and others in this tournament, where you're given an opportunity against a main stage player in the company. You need to do everything in your power to make the match really stand out and elevate your stock. And I don't think Hanare did that here. And for anyone wondering why he's the fall guy in United Empire, it's on full display here. Not because he's not good, but when you compare it to what Cobb's doing in this tournament, to what Osprey's doing in the tournament, and Great O'Khan, he just doesn't he doesn't cut the mustard.
Yeah, man, I absolutely agree with you. Honestly, I thought this match was pretty boring. Like, obviously, all the mechanics were fine. I mean, if you're kind of grading as far as like the match and the moves, like everything was executed well and correctly. There was no botches or anything, but I don't know. I just wasn't invested in this match, and like you mentioned, I don't think Hanare. I mean, he worked hard, but didn't really do enough to impress. And then we talked about for our Sonata theory, I felt like Sonata kind of wrestled down to Hanare's level and didn't go above and beyond to try and make this match blow away or great. And so, and it hurt because it was a 25-minute main event match, and it just didn't live up to a main event status. And after this, I'm never predicting Hanare to win anything again.
Did you predict him to beat Sonata?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was looking for the upsets. We weren't getting any upsets, so I was like, oh, maybe, you get the Hanare upset and he gets a future U.S. title shot, but that wasn't the case here. So I'm off the Hanare ever winning anything train. And then as far as him getting any shots, I mean, I think he's fine in his role as the fourth guy in the Empire and the fall guy for those guys. But once again, like you mentioned, given this big opportunity here, and I don't feel like he fully hit a home run here.
Yeah, I agree. They could have shaved a lot of time off that match, but that's fine. We'll move on to night 7.
Yep, so night 7 continued the second round. We had Chase Owens defeating Tiger Mask at 10 minutes and 33 seconds.
So funny story. So like, how I mentioned I've been like kind of fast forwarding a bit through some of the tag matches and just kind of, getting a feel for what's going on or whatever, more so than actually sitting there watching all of them. I don't know why, but I thought for some reason I saw Tiger Mask and I was like, oh, it's just another tag. I fucking fast forward through the whole match. And then I saw Chase Owens beat Tiger Mask. And I was like, all right, well, that was the finish of that tag match. I think plus I saw Fale outside and I just assumed he was the tag partner. And then I moved on. And then like at the end of the next match, they're like, the winner of this round is going up against Chase Owens, who defeated Tiger Mask in the last. I was like, wait a second, that was a New Japan Cup match. And then I thought I could go back and watch it, but why? It's Tiger Mask against Chase Owens. I know he probably hit him with a C trigger and like got him out of there, or a package pile driver. So I'm sure Fale cheated. It is what it is.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. Tiger Mask missed a flying headbutt. Chase took advantage, hit the package pile driver, and got the win.
The one thing I did read a review because I was like, should I go back and watch it? The one thing I did read, I don't know why. I did say that they probably cheated, but I actually read that this was a pretty straight up match. Now that I recall.
Yeah, it was straight up.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool and refreshing, I guess. But I mean, Tiger Mask and Chase Owens, those are guys who are not going like. I probably should have rewatched it because it probably was pretty good considering who's in it. I just thought it was a tag match.
Yeah. So moving on from there, we had Shingo and Tangaloa. Shingo defeating Tangaloa. And I thought this was a pretty good matchup.
This is pretty good. There's not much more to add to it. I think Tangaloa has so far on this tour and in these matches, I think he's had a better accounting of himself so far than, say, like last year's G1.
Yeah. And, the funny thing is with Tangaloa, I don't know if you remember that interview a while back where he talked about, I think it was on Jericho's podcast.
He wanted to be a junior.
Yeah, he wants to be a junior. And you look at the way he's been wrestling lately. He's been like, hitting Hurricane Ranas and these high indies and like just doing some...
That's what I meant when I said he's had a better accounting. I know he only had this one match, but he's also been on the undercard tags, and I've kind of stopped and watched some of them just because of the angle and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed he's doing a lot more high-flying, high-impact moves, and I'm like, nice. Junior Junior Tangaloa. That's what I like to see.
Moves Tangaloa.
Yeah, this man does flips now. It's nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's kind of a little power exchange here, and Shingo having to work to kind of knock off Tangaloa. But eventually he got him up for the last of the dragon and put him away.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. With a Walmart Plus membership, you can get fresh groceries delivered free the same day. Because planning family dinners is so simple. Said no parent ever. You've got one kid who's a vegan today, another who only eats dinosaur-shaped nuggets, you've got soccer practices and flugelhorn practices. You've got enough on your plate. Walmart Plus has you covered. Get fresh groceries and more at the low prices you love with free same-day delivery. Walmart Plus. Start your free trial today. $35 order minimum. Restrictions apply. See membership details.
Yep, and as this match ended, it kind of just automatically started shifting into the next match, which is one of the more anticipated showdowns of the tournament, as we got an all Bullet Club interfactional match between Evil with Dick Togo versus Tamatonga with Gato.
Yeah, so this was the matchup that, I think a lot of people were looking toward just because of everything that's been happening with this whole Bullet Club storyline and Jay versus Jay or Tama, and where does Evil kind of fit into all this? Well, I think it was made pretty clear here that Evil was at least on Jay White's side, or at least against Tama Tonga at first, and we saw these guys have a match in the G1, and Evil used all the shenanigans to beat Tama Tonga. And similar here, so we got Bayface, Tama Tonga all fired up, and he was kind of taking it here to Evil, and didn't really seem to be looking for Bullet Club Brotherhood.
Yeah, he went out there pretty fired up. So I don't listen to his podcast necessarily. I haven't listened to many of his interviews, so I don't know what the full thought process was for the Tama Tonga character going into this match. But yeah, he wrestled Evil not like a guy that was sort of on the fence. Are you with me? Are you not? He just was like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck who's with me. It's New Japan Cup, run it,
right?
Get these hands. And I appreciated that. That's one thing I will say. We've gone through our ups and downs on this podcast when it comes to Tama Tonga. There have been times where we've been super high on him and then disappointed and then high again and then low, and it's been all over the place over the years. But this was the most exciting I think Tama Tonga as a singles competitor has looked ever. That includes this past year's G1, and that includes when he was cutting those, crazy promos on Kenny back in the day. He kind of reminded me of I don't even know who, just someone that is a hot, fiery baby face the crowd really believes in and is behind. And I mean, that's kind of rare for a lot of baby faces in today's wrestling environment, even in Japan. I mean, you see how many guys they try to establish as a baby face, and they get the respectful hand clap and everything like that. But this crowd they're with Tama Tonga. And I think that probably speaks to the many years of toiling that him and his brother have done for the company, and all the different times they got on the plane and all that sort of stuff. Because now that they're kind of being positioned to be baby faces, they're more over than I could have really hoped or expected for them. And that was really on display at the end of this match with the hot closing sequence.
Yeah, this crowd was super behind Tama Tonga, and also I'm not sure how aware they are what's happening. I know that the Japanese media has been kind of publishing stories and kind of keeping updated on what's been happening with Jay and Tama here in the States. But yeah, they're definitely behind Tama here. I thought Tama, he really kind of set this up with the work he did in the G1 and just having those really fiery babyface matches, and beating Okada, and eventually having that rematch with Okada at Power Struggle. So he had a lot of good stuff there to kind of establish this kind of new style that he could be wrestling. And yeah, I thought he looked really good here in this match. Had a ton of fire. He eventually hits the gun stun, which got like a big kind of gasp from the crowd because they thought that Tama was gonna get the kind of big win here. But then
I thought he won when he hit that. I was like, oh shit, he did it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then of course, Dick Togo, he pulled the referee out before the 3 count, and that's when we started getting the run in. So Gato came in. He had his own garrote wire. He started choking out Dick Togo. Then Sho and Yujiro came out, and they started beating up Gato. Then Ishimori and ELP come in. They chase away Sho and Yujiro, and you're thinking, Ishimori and ELP, they're going to side with Tama Tonga, especially Ishimori, because Tama was the one who brought Ishimori into the Bullet Club, and they picked Tama up, but then ELP hits him with the sudden death, and they start beating up Tama. And then, you have, he hit the super kick inside of the ring, and then Evil hits Everything's Evil and pins Tama. Then post-match, you had more of the beat down, and then you had Chase and Bad Luck Fale coming out to the ring. It seemed like Fale, he kind of hesitated to hit the grenade on Tama Tonga, and then eventually he hit it on Tangaloa, and they continued to beat down both those guys, and then they beat up Gato. Gato comes out, and I think he hits Gato with brass knuckles, and then we get these guys that laid out Guerrillas of Destiny. They throw up the Too Sweet. They were getting ready to throw it down, and Gato's like, no. Throw it up. We do it up now. And they throw up the Too Sweet, and it seems like Bull Club is all aligned, and GOD are out.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the two positives of this. Number one, the excitement of a big change and a big angle, and the crowd is always going to react to that. That was one of the complaints people did have initially when this whole storyline sort of kicked off, was like, you guys did one of the biggest New Japan storylines of the year in an Impact ring. Well, some of that's kind of been rectified here because they've kind of continued the story and done it, on a big show in a very public way. So that's cool. Some of the drawback, though, was just how convoluted the whole entire ordeal was. Like you mentioned, it seemed like member after member had to come out, but they had to find a way to do it so that it seemed somewhat plausible. But over and over again, it was pretty much just God and Gato getting their asses handed to them, and eventually just kind of became like, man, this is kind of, I don't know, you guys are overdoing it a little bit. I feel like there could have been a more concise way to do the angle, because you get the initial big pop, but then every single time new guys come out in this angle, the pops became more and more diminished, and it just kind of became a long-running thing where I'm like, how long is that referee on the outside going to be knocked out?
Right.
But ultimately, I guess the good thing is resolution to the story, because at this point, it's not a Bullet Club Civil War. It's just an ousting of God. And sort of like you mentioned, that we see Bullet Club aligned, and we see them just out of the group now. So there's some finality there.
Yeah, and it was posted today on Reddit on the Japanese New Japan site. God are officially labeled as their own faction with Tama, Tanga, and Gato. So yeah, they're out of the club, even though it's it's supposed to be for life. But yeah, they've been booted out here in House of Torture. They're aligned back with the rest of Bullet Club, and Gato kind of running the charge here, while Jay is still stuck in the States.
Yeah. So, and as we kind of alluded to on the undercards going forward, you see matches involving God versus Bullet Club. And even though I don't think any of those individual matches have been great, it's kind of been one of the more interesting feuds that are ongoing through the remainder of the tour on the undercard.
Yeah. And we had a couple questions here. First from Dark Soldier. When Gato was in Tama's corner, did you think he was going to betray him like the rest of Bullet Club? Because I thought he would.
I didn't really give it too much thought, to be honest, but it did make sense that you had two heaters to kind of balance each other out. So I didn't see it as like a double cross was coming.
Yeah, and Jato's kind of been, with God for a while now, and God have been his guys. So it made total sense for him to kind of stick with them and take the beat down from these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, as a side note, this means Gato and Gato are broken up, which I
Right.
can't remember the last time that was the case.
Yeah, first time in a long time. Yeah, Gato stabbing the knife in his longtime partner here.
Except for that time when he ousted him from the booking committee and made him go to Noah. That was the real breakup. You don't see Gato's names on those Booker of the Year awards anymore.
Right. Then Less Commission 7252 says everyone has made a decision in Bull Club except for Kenta and Hecaleo. Hecaleo is, of course, with the Tongans. My question is, should Kenta stay with Bull Club, or is it better for him to not be aligned with them? After watching and hearing Chase Owens on commentary of Kevin Kelly, is he better than Phantasmo? Oh, we already answered that. So, yeah, Kenta, should he stay with Bull Club or not?
I've had the thought in the past where, like, if he left Bull Club and went to a different unit or did something else, I wouldn't be too surprised. I don't think he's like an outsider, but he doesn't totally fit the way that maybe some of the other like members do in my mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't if he decided to not be a part of the group. I wouldn't mind. I have a hard time seeing him align with Guerrillas of Destiny.
I do too.
I don't think that would make the most sense. But ultimately, I think they'll probably just have him stick with Bull Club. Now, he mentioned that Hecaleo is with the Tongans. I don't know if that is for sure. I mean, we would have thought that Bad Luck. We would have thought Bad Luck Fale would have stuck with Tama and Tangaloa, but he's still with Bull Club. And on Strong, Hecaleo has been Jay White's like right hand man. On Strong has been his main heater. So maybe Hecaleo's gonna stay with where the money's at. Maybe he's gonna stay with Bull Club and stay kind of under Jay White's wing. So we haven't seen Hecaleo in Japan since the pandemic. So once he gets in, also that'll be interesting to see where he ends up going.
Will you be mad if on Sunday night after Clark Connors loses? No, actually, I'm getting the matches mixed up. If after Chris Sabin loses to Jay White, we end up with a Hecaleo run-in where he's the next guy challenging because he is letting everyone know that he's not part of the Bull Club. He puts Jay White on blast. And then that means you have to watch that match in April when you go to WrestleMania weekend.
Well, since Jay's already booked against Speedball Mike Bailey, I'm not too concerned about that happening in Texas. So maybe that will happen on the following tour, or maybe at Windy City Riot. But honestly, I wouldn't mind a Hecaleo versus Jay match. I think Hecaleo has gotten a lot better. I think it would be an interesting matchup, and it would add more intrigue to the stuff here in the States of what's going on with Bull Club.
Well, last note, Evil defeats Tama Tonga, which means we get more Togoism for the remainder of the tournament as long as he stays in.
Yep, unfortunately. But it takes us to our main event of this evening. We had Hiromu Takahashi defeating Minoro Suzuki 19 minutes and 33 seconds. Boy, oh boy, what a match.
Hot take. I like this match better than that famous Go Shiozaki versus Nakajima match that happened at the end of this past year. I didn't count, but this might be the most choppingest match I've ever seen. Like, and that includes the match that Takahashi had a couple years ago with Dragon Lee, and that might also include like Kobashi and Sasuke. Like, these Suzuki and Hiromu went out there and just chopped the fuck out of each other. Like, this has got to be a leading contender for Strong Style Fight of the Year right now. Like, I was blown away by this match, and I've got it probably as my number 2, maybe number 1 match of the tournament. I don't know.
Yeah, this match was brutal. Like you mentioned, these guys were literally they chopped each other the whole match, like all 19 minutes. They pretty much chopped each other. I mean, there was a little bit of other moves in between, but for majority of this match was just all chops. Suzuki's chest was just all like Hiromu was giving it all he got on every single chop, and Suzuki's chest was just beat red. Hiromu's chest was red, and these guys were just throwing bombs back and forth, and I thought Suzuki looked really good here. He's been kind of working, his style of match, and kind of gets caught in that kind of, pattern of his matches. And I thought he just looked excellent here. It's kind of this monster, sadistic guy trying to take out this junior, and Hiromu just fighting with everything that he had. And he didn't get much of a chance to do a lot of high flying or a lot of his higher impact moves. He was just going toe to toe with Suzuki the whole match, just exchanging these chops, and just a battle of will and showing fighting spirit. Yeah, this was an awesome matchup.
Yeah, the undercard preview tag matches that involved these two leading up to this were also chock full of awesome moments between them, especially post match where Suzuki was just being the sadistic, maniacal old man attacking this crazy guy in Hiromu, and very combustible elements between both of them. And so we sort of knew what to expect going into this match, but I feel like Suzuki, they told a story where, like, when Suzuki did wrestle, he could take Hiromu, especially being like the elder, being, this master of the black arts of wrestling, and then, just the fact that he, he's a heavyweight. He could have taken Hiromu, but instead he decided to go blow for blow. Like, there was something kind of sadistic about it where he wanted to see how much Hiromu could dish out, how much Hiromu could take, and sort of played the game instead of trying to wrestle him. And that might have been his detriment, because he didn't realize how much hell Hiromu was willing to go through to get the W in this match. And Hiromu put so much heart on the line, where there were chops where I could hear them audibly groaning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just selling. It was holy fuck, they're killing each other. And then the fact that he, instead of hitting Hiromu with a gotch, he let this guy go chop for chop for 19 minutes with him, and got caught with a pinfall. I love this match. I don't know if I loved the finish, but I love the match.
Yeah, the finish was a little bit clunky with Hiromu getting that roll up towards the end there. But besides that, yeah, the whole match, it was a great matchup. Definitely the best matchup on this night. And like you mentioned, a top contender for match of the whole tournament, match of the month. Yeah, this was just an awesome, violent matchup. This will definitely be, as of right now, probably a candidate for Strong Style Fight of the Year. And they told a great story here of, like you mentioned, of Hiromu just continuing to bite the bullet until he could finally catch that opening to catch Suzuki here. And that brings Hiromu in the next round to face Evil.
One last thing, too. You did a great job kind of highlighting Suzuki's role in the match, but, we got to give credit to Hiromu, because obviously we know how great Hiromu is, but it's not like he always has it turned on. There have been quite a few recent junior matches where I haven't necessarily been let's say blown away with Hiromu's performance, especially compared to the level of performer he was prior to his various injuries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when he's put in a spot to be given an opportunity like this, he understands when to turn it on and how to turn it on. And he did exactly that here. And that's the kind of thing that's missing from some of the guys we talked about in this tournament so far, that were given their own opportunities, but they didn't go out there and have a fucking banger like Hiromu and Suzuki did,
Right, yeah. Hiromu made the most of this opportunity. It's very similar, like you mentioned, 2 years ago when he was in the New Japan Cup, when they came back from the break in the pandemic, and he was out there having bangers with Hanma and Ishii.
Yeah.
And just having all these really good matches in that tournament. And that's, what we got here with Hiromu. Had this awesome banger here with Suzuki, and, he is set up now to potentially maybe even go deep in this tournament. Last time he fought Evil, it was for the title. It was Evil's best defense, and maybe he gets the win back here, pulls an upset on Evil. But yeah, he's set in a position for a really big kind of a little push here, and I think it's good to do something different with Hiromu right now. You can't just have him do the same thing of chasing the title, winning Best of Super Junior, going to Wrestle Kingdom, either winning or losing the title at Wrestle Kingdom. like he needs to do something different now. And so I think this is a kind of a good thing for him getting that win over Suzuki. And with that win, potentially, and also too with Evil being a never champion, if he can beat Evil, then you could do a never title match of Evil and Hiromu, and then start transferring Hiromu into more open weight programs throughout the year.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
All right, so that takes us now to night 8 on the 14th.
Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are calling that an upset, and I guess in a way it is, but if you listened to this podcast last week, you knew who to, listen to when they told you who was going over in that one.
Yeah, even 2 weeks ago, the bigger preview that we did, I mean,
That's what I meant 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we all had Hiromu circled, and if you look at a calendar, you would have known that had to be the move here, with Suzuki getting ready to come to the States for Mania weekend and Windy City Riot. Eventually, he needed to get out of there and get ready for the dates that he has coming up. So it made a ton of sense for Hiromu to get the upset and knock Suzuki out here. So now we move on to night 8 on the 14th. We only had 2 tournament matches this night. This kicked off the 3rd round. So in the semi-main event spot, we had Shima defeating Hiroki Goto.
Yeah, this was one where I was kind of surprised. I heard a lot of different journalists and fans predicting Goto to go over Shima here. And for my money, a guy that's an outsider and the leader of a organization and a group like the Strong Hearts, I don't think, and a bona fide legend of Puroresu, he's not going to go into a tournament like this unless he's getting some sort of preferential booking. And the very fact that potential of a Shima Okada match is kind of looming out there, and it seems that during this tournament, they've been especially inclined to do as big of matches as possible so as to draw as much as they possibly can, it seems like. It just seems so likely to me that Shima and Okada would be the next match. But you heard a lot of people talking about Goto being the guy to beat Shima and kind of put his little New Japan Cup run on, to kaput here. And I was surprised to see that. But as far as the match goes, Shima went out there and had again, copy and paste what I said earlier. He's been wrestling good, competent, compelling guys and having fun, energetic 3.5-star matches. And I think that's what him and Goto did here again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this Goto match here. And I think like a lot of pundits kind of sometimes maybe they forget some of the runs that outsiders have in the company. When you look at some of the outsiders they bring in tournaments, usually they can go pretty far in these tournaments to pick up a lot of wins if it's like a G1. And so, yeah, I was happy to see Shima get the win here. Like we've talked about for the last couple of weeks, he was the only outsider and, the one kind of hope for something, some different matchups in this tournament. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this Goto match. And I can understand why people thought Goto might win because he is a champion. He is Mr. New Japan Cup. But Shima was the right call here. And they got me towards the end of this match here because there was a spot where Goto, he hits the Ushigoroshi and Shima kicks out. And I was like, oh. And then he goes for that armbar thing and Shima escapes. And then Shima just hits this flurry and hits double like springboard meteoras to Goto and gets a win. And I was like, all right, that was a cool finish. Really fun matchup here. And Shima has just been one of the most fun guys to watch of this whole thing.
Yeah, totally agreed. And, I was excited at the end of that because then that led right into the next match, Okada versus Taichi. And I'm like, well, I feel like I know where we're headed with this one. So that's awesome. But speaking of Okada Taichi, we got Taichi out here, full Miho Abe, full, theatrical entrance. And he had his game face on, Taichi did. There was no sense of the guy from like 2017, 2018 Taichi that we've known. This was big match, G1 level Taichi who went out there with Okada, and I thought that they tore the house down. Like, I thought they really had an awesome banger. I'm probably like 4.25 on this. And this is probably, in my estimation, one of the better Taichi singles outings that I can ever recall in New Japan. And I feel like if this was the guy that we got every time he stepped through the ropes, he could potentially be one of my favorite guys. You know, we see a lot of what he did in this match sprinkled into his matches, but if he just like fully leaned into the all Japan influenced roots that he has, the way he did here, and just drops people on their heads and just back fist people, and does all these cool kicks, um, I'd be all in on Taichi. Not for nothing, Okada's had two matches now in this tournament. This one and then the Desperado match where he's gotten two different guys from Suzuki Gun kind of looking much better on the way out losing than they did going in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought this match was great. I also went 4 1/4. I thought, Taichi was really motivated here and had a great back and forth here with Okada. And, I think we've kind of been seeing this kind of slow shift into more of the serious kind of that all Japan style influence, like you mentioned, of Taichi coming out. And I think especially now that it seems like he's going to be doing more single stuff, and it seems like the Techers aren't going to be back together for a while. We have been seeing this more kind of slowly come out, more serious, more Kawada kicks, more axe bombers, more dangerous back suplexes. And we saw, it turned up here in this Okada match, and it was just so dope to see, and really taking it to Okada here. Even he was hitting his kind of like his own version of like Rainmakers on Okada at one point in the match, and
Okada hit him with the last ride.
Yeah. These guys are.
There's a lot of really great stuff in this match.
Yeah, stealing each other's finishers and all that stuff, but eventually came down to the end where Okada does hit him with the Rainmaker and gets the win and advances on.
Yeah, and that sets up a 4th round showdown between Okada and Shima, which is a first time ever match and kind of a dream match. So that's a big one, and we're gonna keep our eyes on that one as it comes up.
Yeah. So then moving on to today's show, night 9, March 15th, we had the conclusion of the 3rd round. So we had actually some more 3rd round matches on the 17th. We are almost on the 3rd round. We had Jeff Cobb defeating Yoshi-Hashi 17 minutes and 22 seconds.
This is one where I looked at what a lot of other people's feelings and opinions on the match were, and it seemed to be people were pretty low on this. I think I'm the odd man out on this one because I thought Jeff Cobb and Yoshi-Hashi had a hell of a match today, and I thought that they outperformed Naito and Tanahashi on the same night.
Well, I was just about to say, hot take. Yeah, I enjoy this match way more than Tanahashi and Naito. I thought these guys had a really good matchup here. I thought Yoshi-Hashi showed a ton of fire here, and the crowd they're looking for the upset. I felt they were behind Yoshi-Hashi, and he was just giving a lot of offense to Cobb, and Cobb was kind of scrambling to put away Yoshi-Hashi.
Yeah, Yoshi-Hashi, the close of the match was awesome. Just him surging and having so many near falls, and then finally, one misstep, Jeff Cobb catches him, tour of the islands, go to hell. So it was a really awesome finish. And yeah, I thought Cobb looked great here. This reminded me in some ways of the match that we liked between Yoshi-Hashi and Michael Elgin a few years ago during the G1. But yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of reviews that were just very middle of the road here, and I felt like this was a little bit above average, even for Yoshi-Hashi. And I felt like Cobb had a great accounting of himself, and looked good in defeat, looked strong, and moves on to the next round.
Yeah. So then the main event of the show was Tetsuya Naito defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, 18 minutes and 48 seconds. And normally you tell me, you say, Jeremy, you're going to get a Naito Tanahashi tournament main event. I say, sign me up. Let me watch it. But to me, this was kind of disappointing. These guys didn't deliver here. I don't know what it was. To me, I think part of it just might be like the old manism of these guys kind of be broken down and moving a little clunky. But yeah, this is not the high caliber stuff that we're used to when these guys are in the main event.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't, again, this was part of why we anticipated that there might be a bad luck Fale appearance during this portion of the tour, because look at the house that they were in. That house wasn't deserving or needing a uh a Naito Tanahashi match. And I feel like the low energy of the crowd, I don't want to do a heel shtick and be like, it's you people's
You
fault.
people.
But at the same time, you do a Tokyo Dome worthy match and you do it in a rural part of the tour in a smaller venue, you get smaller venue energy from those guys. And like you mentioned, they are kind of torn down. And I have to kind of wonder if they kind of went out there and just thought like, yo, I'm not gonna wrestle like I'm in, the Budokan if I'm not in the fucking Budokan, and they're giving away a Budokan level match.
Right. Because yeah,
The other, the one thing I will say though, at the end, it started turning up to a really great match, and I expected it to go like another 3 or 4 minutes, and then it just ended, and I was really confused.
yeah, the ending was kind of flat for me. So they had Tanahashi. He goes for the high fly flow. Naito moves, and then Naito does that, that running roll up thing that he does, and just pins him.
Yeah, and I agree with you too when you talk about broken downism. I do feel like there might be some old manism there because both of them just came off pretty hard, rigorous main event matches on the last tour, and are probably gearing up for whatever's next. And this is the middle of the fucking tour at this point. They probably are a little banged up, and they're probably trying to work as smartly as possible to get prepped for whatever actually truly bigger matches they have later on the tour. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like Tanahashi just looks really rough right now. Just like looking at his body and just the way that he's even just walking or moving,
Mm-hmm.
and he's still hitting these high fly flows to the floor. Did it here in this match also, and I know he just doesn't look that great right now.
No, literally. So, as a tribute to Scott Hall, he did the Razor Ramon walk, the shuffle sidewalk, whatever it is he does. And a friend of ours like took a gif of it. Was like, at first I had no idea that he was doing a tribute to Scott Hall. I was like, why is this man limping like this?
Yeah,
And once he said that, and I like listened to it, I was like, that's totally plausible. That's how bad like Tanahashi's moving. It's plausible to think he's got some sort of old man gait right there.
yeah, it's pretty rough. Like they need to stick him in multi-mans and let him rest up because yeah, his body is taking a beating.
Or better yet, maybe he could take some time off.
Yeah,
you know, Tanahashi never takes time off. Like he's never gone. And and he's one of my favorites, but like, sometimes you need to take time off to take care of things.
yeah, rejuvenate. Yeah, get the body right, get the mind right, and then kind of refresh. I think he could definitely use that, and I don't think at this point of where the company's at, adding Tanahashi to certain undercards is going to make that big of a difference in the house.
Yeah, they got big stars, evil.
the newly reunited Bullet Club.
Yeah. Show. Well, that's going to do it for our review of this portion of the New Japan Cup, but we've still got a few nights remaining for the rest of the tournament.
Yep. So starting on the 17th, it'll pick back up with round 3 action. We'll have Zack Sabre Jr. taking on the Great Okan, which they have been building that pretty well in these multi-mans, and both of these guys were exchanging submissions on each other today. So that should be a fun matchup. They had a great G1 matchup, so that match should be great. And then also the main event of that show will be Sonata taking on Will Osprey. And I feel like this is a very important match. I think this match can go either way.
I think both of these matches could go either way, but this one, you're probably right, is a little bit more so. I did call the upset here for Sonata to win, but seeing how things have been playing out over the tournament, I wouldn't be surprised if Will does end up like facing Shingo or something like that at this point. It's hard to say. Um, Same thing with Zach and Okan. I knew it was going to be difficult for Okan to beat him, but I thought it was plausible given how hot they were booking him prior to the tournament. But now that we've been in this tournament, Zach has just looked like a killer.
Yeah.
On the undercards and in his matches, and Okan hasn't really felt that way. So if he does get past Zach, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, it's going to be his toughest test in this tournament so far. And yeah, I mean, Saber's a guy also, he's won New Japan Cups before. He had that excellent G1 this year, had the excellent title match with Shingo as well. So he could be a guy they maybe want to continue the momentum of that, and you throw him into a quarters. You do maybe him versus Osprey or him versus Sonata. He has great matches with both those guys, so they could go that direction.
Yeah, just last year he had a near 5-star match with Will Osprey in this tournament.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that. I gotta say, I think that's one of the most exciting remaining portions of the tournament. Just that top right corner there.
Yeah. Then on the 18th, we'll have Shingo taking on Chase Owens and Hiromu taking on Evil.
So this is one where I'm not as much looking forward to the outcome or to the actual matches themselves, but it is very intriguing to see getting a Shingo Evil match, or are we getting a Hiromu Shingo match? I don't believe that Chase Owens is going to pull an upset on Shingo here, and if he did, I don't know. I would just call that into question because I feel like there's been much better upsets they could have already done as opposed to that one. So I'm banking on Shingo winning no matter what. But the big question is, are we getting the dream match, him and Hiromu, or are we getting, the two bigger established heavyweight stars, him and Evil? Where do we go from there, really?
Yeah, I mean, with Shingo Chase, like you mentioned, I feel like Chase has had kind of a cakewalk in this tournament so far with some pretty beatable opponents. And so, yeah, I think it's time for him to kind of get out here. I would say it would be booking malpractice to have him beat Shingo, especially the guy that Shingo's been beating so far. It's a role that he's been on this year and coming off of winning the world title. Yeah, Shingo should beat him pretty easily. And yeah, the big intrigue is going to be this main event with Hiromu and Evil. We are just one step away from my prediction of having Shingo and Hiromu. I think Shingo and Hiromu will be such an intriguing matchup. I think it's the matchup this tournament needs to get a little buzz and some excitement happening here. And also, I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's the best trajectory for Hiromu's future. You can get him in a never title match. You can do some never stuff with him and kind of keep him out of the junior title scene for a little bit. So I'm hoping that Hiromu does get the win here. Moving on March 20th, we will have the first set of quarterfinal matchups. So we'll have Shima taking on Kazuchika Okada, and then we will have a Wrestle Kingdom rematch as Jeff Cobb takes on Tetsuya Naito.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me to call one way or the other. I don't think it's likely, but if there were someone that could upset Okada in this tournament, I think Shima is one of the few guys on that side of the bracket that could do it. But I'm anticipating Okada going through to the next round at least and facing the winner of Cobb Naito. That's how I've got it booked on my bracket. I've been almost perfect so far. I think where I defer from a lot of people is I've got Naito going through against Cobb, although the way that he's been performing in this tournament, I wouldn't be opposed to Cobb going through.
Yeah, I'm also have Okada going through. Like I think Shima could pull the upset, and you could do a Okada Shima title match from that at the next show. But just the role that Okada's been on, the whole 50th anniversary being built around him. I mean, there's a very good chance that Okada could just win this whole tournament as champion to kind of continue this kind of mega push that he's going in right now and kind of being the face of this 50th anniversary celebration. So I think it can make a ton of sense to have him win in advance here.
Well, there have been people that have won the G1 or G1 equivalents in the past as the world champion in New Japan, but nobody's ever won the New Japan Cup as the champion. So, yeah, like you said, if you did want to really cement something about Okada's legacy, that is something you could do there because it's unlikely it would ever be replicated. I still got to wonder about the two big shows that they have coming up after the New Japan Cup. I think they still need two challengers in place regardless. That's why I anticipate Okada losing, but hey, who knows? Maybe he does go all the way.
Yeah. Then with Cobb and Naito, I kind of leaning more towards Cobb winning and doing another Cobb Okada matchup. I don't know. To me, I don't know. I feel like it might be a little bit too soon for another Naito Okada match, but I mean, it could easily do that as well. And then you could have Naito get the win back again, and then you do another Naito Okada title match in April or May. Or you could have Cobb be the one to get the upset, and you do another Cobb title match in April and May. Or Okada just beats one of these guys.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, if I'm to be believed, then Naito is beating Okada, but we'll see.
Yeah. Then the last show before we record again will be on the 22nd. The winner of Great Okan and Zack Sabre Jr. will face the winner of Osprey and Sonata. And then the winner of Shingo and Chase will face the winner of Hiromu and Evil.
Yep, and the way that I had it booked out, Okan faces Sonata, Shingo versus Evil, and then out of that we get a right side final of Great Okan versus, I believe, Shingo.
All right, how I booked it out, I had Okan facing Osprey, Shingo facing Hiromu, and then I have Shingo and Osprey winning for those guys to get a rematch of last year's tournament final.
With all that being said, taking a look at the right side, I will say this. The only person that I can completely outright say is not going to the finals is Chase Owens.
Right.
They've done a good job at I know we're 4 rounds deep at this point, but they've done a great job getting the right names by the 3rd or 4th round that can have good matches with one another and be real players to potentially win the tournament. Even if some of them are like Okan and Hiromu might not be favorites, it's still plausible.
Right. So yeah, that wraps up New Japan Cup coverage for this week. Next week we'll be back to review everything that's happened and kind of set us up for the finals coming up. So we're going to transition into news right now and have some news about the Lone Star Shootout. We also had some breaking news that happened as we're recording about the Lone Star Shootout. So Killer Kross will be making his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut come April 1st at the Lone Star Shootout. Any thoughts on Kross in New Japan, Josh?
Does he want to control his narrative?
It seems like he does elsewhere, but New Japan just posted this promo video of him, and it seems like he's gonna kind of go with that kind of the MMA background, and he's beating people up in a gym.
Oh God, you mean Enochiism?
Yeah.
I like Killer Kross when he's good, but I didn't like anything about his run in WWE, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been the biggest Killer Kross fan. As long as they keep away from the spooky stuff, keep away from the control your narrative stuff, and just let him, suplex people and do submissions, I think he can fit in. So other stuff announced for Lone Star Shootout. We have some match announcements. There's going to be an 8-man tag with Juice, Finley, Kevin Knight, and Daniel Garcia taking on Mascara Dorada, Carl Fredericks, Clark Connors, and Yuya Uemura. And then in the singles match, we're going to get Rocky Romero, our good friend, taking on Ren Narita. And I already announced for that show, Speedball Mike Bailey answering the USFJ Open Challenge, taking on Jay White. Also, Tomohiro Ishii taking on Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson in Dickinson's first match back since his injury. The Good Brothers and Great Okan have been announced for NJPW Windy City Riot in Chicago on April 15th. So with the Good Brothers there, I'm sure we'll see some continuation of the Bullet Club storyline here in America.
I don't know if you mentioned it last week. Suzuki's been announced for that as well.
Yeah, Suzuki. I think we mentioned it last week, but yeah, if we didn't, yeah, Suzuki is also announced for Windy City Riot. Then free match of the week is last year's New Japan Cup Finals with Shingo versus Will Osprey. So that is free on YouTube and New Japan World.
It's an incredible match.
Yeah, love that matchup. This week on Access TV after Impact, they're going to air the Sonata Tanahashi U.S. title match from the Golden Series. So if you didn't check that match out and you have access, here's your chance to watch that on Access TV. Then for Bloodsport, Mania Weekend in Dallas, March 31st, they announced Matt Makowski versus Yuya Uemura.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Then hopping over to some Rev Pro news, Sunday, May 22nd, Rev Pro Epic Encounter. Will Osprey will defend his Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship against Minoru Suzuki. So
yeah, that sounds really incredible. I mean, we kind of seen Suzuki, what he's, some of his work when he does these little excursion runs, and it's been a while since he's been in Rev Pro, and he is one of the top stars, or was, previously when he was kind of touring there regularly. And I don't think we've seen too much of him in Osprey except for maybe one G1 match. And Osprey's just been on this incredible tear, especially recently this year in Rev Pro. So yeah, that's one to definitely earmark.
Yeah, it just brings back the good old days when you have the Rev Pro champion facing off against a top New Japan guy. We've seen guys like Ishii go in there for Rev Pro title matches and stuff like that. So that'll be good to kind of reestablish that and get, especially since travel is opening up, get some Osprey defending that Rev Pro belt against some New Japan guys.
Yeah.
Then last piece of news here, per the Japanese media, there have been 8 to 10 foreigners who are expected to compete in April's big Rising card. And the reason I bring this up is also affects New Japan. So Rising, they're bringing in 8 to 10 new guys to their promotion, which means you would think that New Japan could potentially bring in some new foreigners coming up pretty soon as well.
If that's the case, yeah. I mean, we still don't know what the work visa situation is, getting those approved. But yeah, I mean, I would love it.
Yeah, so hopefully this is things in the right direction for New Japan as well. And we will be able to get guys like Tom Lawler and Dickinson into New Japan, especially as G1 will be coming up this summer. It would be great to get a ton of strong guys, maybe a couple AEW guys or some of these top independent guys who are kind of on the scene right now to get a really great G1 this year. So now we just have a few questions here. Recommended match of the weekend. We'll wrap things up. So first, from MJ's PR. He says, love the new logo. Have you asked Okada's family for permission to use his silhouette?
Do you know what he's referring to?
Yeah, he's referring to the whole 4 pillars shirt debate that was happening this week.
There's one thing I wanted to mention. I guess I should mention it off there. But as far as that logo, a friend of ours created that for us. Shout out to Zach. What's up, Zach? The original design that I saw, the middle of the logo has a white background, but lately, since we've been using it, it has a black background. Is there any way to get that white background back?
Well, I think the original one was just like a PNG with no background. So when you put it on stuff, it just kind of takes whatever color of the background.
Because I liked the white background in the center of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk to our people about that.
Yeah, we could have them throw it on there and see what that looks like when we put it on stuff. But yeah, shout out to Zach for the new logo. Didn't ask him for it. I guess he got bored one day and started messing around with the logo and doing a couple options here. So,
if any of you guys get bored and you want to do promotional work or design work for Keeping It Strong Style, we will accept your free labor any day of the week.
Yeah, if anybody wants to be the official Keeping It Strong Style intern, you can help me put the rundown together, get the listener questions out there, send the tweets out. We'll get you hooked up for a nice internship full of experience and no pay.
We're looking for financiers as well. If you want to invest into Keeping It Strong Style, let's talk.
We had a question here from Dark Soldier. It says, in G128, Juice and Goto, the respective U.S. and Never champions, scored the lowest in the B block. When it happened, I thought it was to set up future title matches, but they immediately lost their titles. Why did they book it like that?
Because they're hoes. I don't know, man. That was like when we were like expecting or hoping that Juice and Goto would like rebound and do well, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really any clear reasoning for it. I guess that's what Gato booked. I mean, we all thought that, yeah, Juice is going to kind of have this comeback at the end of the year. He's going to defend the belt against all the guys he lost to and kind of prove people wrong and, go through this crazy tour of just beating people until he gets to Wrestle Kingdom and have a big match there, but didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
And also, I don't even remember who did Goto lose it to after that. I don't remember now.
I'm trying to remember. Like, was it Kenta? 2018? That's probably too far back, huh?
Because Kenta came in 2019 G1.
I don't even know, man. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember right now. But I mean, it's a never.
Was it Taichi?
Maybe. What the 3-way, like him, Taichi, Elgin?
I don't know. That's so far back. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember right now. But I mean, it was more kind of, I guess, shocking for the Juice loss versus the Goto loss, because I mean, it's a never title. Never title kind of bounces back and forth all time. But I was expecting more of like a run for Juice, the U.S. title. Next question here from Les Commission 7252. What do you got? What would you guys rank the members of Chaos as in members? It's clear that Josh will pick Yo last.
That's not true. Obviously, I'm going to put Stat last.
Chris Statlander.
And after her, Sue.
Oh my gosh. Let's see here. I'm trying to pull up.
That's the real question. Who counts as being part of Chaos?
Well, I'm pulling up the Wikipedia here. We got Orange Cassidy.
I don't.
Robbie Eagles, Goto, Ishii, Nichols, Okada, Romero, Statlander, Chucky T, Trent Beretta, Sue, Toriano, Yo, Yoshihashi, Wheeler Yuta, and Danhausen.
Bro, I don't think Danhausen's even part of the Best Friends. How is he part of Chaos?
Well, he's Best Friends adjacent, so I guess that makes him Chaos adjacent. Dude,
I refuse on standards of principle. I'm not ranking people from AEW.
Okay, so no Utah, no Danhausen, no Chucky T, Best Friend, Stat, Sue.
I don't know. I would rank the members of Chaos. I'd go Okada number 1, and then Ishii number 2, and then who's in this? I don't even know who's in this group anymore. I guess Goto.
Yeah, there's Goto,
Yoshihashi.
Eagles, Yoshihashi, Yano, Yo.
I'm not ranking everybody. That's too many people.
I mean, I'll go. I mean,
Okada's at the top, and I don't know. Yeah, Yo probably is at the bottom, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would take obviously get Okada, Ishii, then
Yano's at the bottom.
I would probably take Eagles after Ishii, then Goto, then Yoshihashi, yeah, then Yo, and then maybe Yano dead last. Then Ethan Black, for his serious question, he says, favorite New Japan Cup finals and worst New Japan Cup finals?
That's a tough question.
Well, I think for the worst, I mean, and this might just
last year's?
Yeah, recency biased with the one with Evil, where he won it. against Okada, or was it against
Yeah.
Naito? Who did he beat?
It was against Naito.
Naito, yeah.
As far as favorite final, I don't know, man. Like, what do you have one?
I'm struggling thinking of what is my favorite. I'll say I really enjoyed Shingo and Osprey. The Saber finals was a great one. But
Yeah, see, the tough part for me is like I don't know that I've always loved all these finals. So I'm actually looking on Wikipedia just to even remember um what finals have occurred, you know? Um and did I love any of them?
yeah,
Oh man. You know that's kind of the sneaky secret. Not a lot of these final matches have really been like blow away. I guess I'd probably go with last year's, probably Osprey and Shingo.
yeah. That seems like it was. That'd probably be, as far as like a match quality, probably the best one. Followed for me, probably the Tanahashi Saber from 2018.
That one's really good. Yeah. The 2012 one between Goto and Tanahashi is really good. But there have been a lot of, I will say this, there have been very few actually bad finals, but not many of them have been like upper tier.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because for a long time they treated this tournament as kind of the non G1, you know?
Right. It's usually kind of used as a way to kind of catapult like a upper mid card to get them a title shot, and so a lot of the top guys would get knocked out. So it wasn't your kind of high caliber tournament.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for all the questions. Recommended match of the week last week. I recommended for everybody to watch Naito versus Ibushi from the New Japan Cup 2018. Did you get a chance to check this one out, Josh?
Yes, I did. And I thought that this match, the first time I saw it, we were, very, I don't know, we praised the match obviously because it was really awesome. But I feel like rewatching it now, I have even maybe a higher regard for this match. I still don't think it's the highest of heights for the feud. I think some of the matches they'd had just the year prior are probably a little bit better. But this really kind of set the stage for the series of matches that they would have that year, which got to the highest echelons of like crazy violence. And we saw that kind of kick-started here with some really dangerous and scary spots towards the second half of the match. And I love the story where, both guys are just working over each other's neck and how every big bump towards the tail end sort of becomes like more painful and sort of concerning just based on the types of offensive game plan that they've imposed on each other. Yeah, this match fucking rules. Like, and I think that they even topped it the next two times out. But this one, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, awesome match. I just remember the first time we watched it live, just like kind of cringing with some of the next spots there, and now you go back and watch it, and yeah, man, just like the amount of work that they put in, and just the story they told, and the crazy spots they did, it makes it even better on a second viewing.
Yeah, I agree. And if you haven't seen that match, highly recommended. Go out of your way and watch it. While you're at it, most of the Naito and Ibushi matches are worth checking out.
Yeah. So what you got for us for this week?
So, in light of the recent passing of Scott Hall, I kind of have a deep cut. It shouldn't be that deep of a cut, but kind of a match from a period where less people might have been watching New Japan. But we're going to go with Scott Hall versus Keiji Muto in the main event for the Triple Crown title on September 23rd, 2001. Now, you can't find this match on New Japan World, but it is easily and readily available on Daily Motion and pretty much all over the internet. And doesn't go too long. It's like a 15, 16-minute match, but a 2001 style match, singles match between an old, even back then, Kijimuto and a breaking down Scott Hall does not sound like it could be appealing at all. Trust me when I tell you this. This match is better than it has any right to be.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to checking that out because I haven't seen any of Scott Hall's New Japan work. So it'll be fun to watch and some of the stuff that coming up on New Japan World and stuff that people are finding on YouTube.
Yeah. Now I will say this isn't like a blowaway match or anything like that, but you know, Scott wasn't necessarily always used at the very tip top as a main event player in New Japan. This is probably one of the few like major singles matches he had. And I do think it's probably one of the best that he had in New Japan. But you know, make no mistakes about it. This is not going to be like a 5-star classic, but it's also much better than it probably should have been, considering the time period it's happening, who's involved in it.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to checking that out, and that's going to wrap things up for us this week on Keeping It Strong Style. Next week we'll be back to need to review the quarterfinals of the tournament. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. The show is at KI Strong Style. The network is at Suplex. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/socialsuplex. Also find us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Instagram, we're at Suplex. On Reddit, I am Jeremy. I am the pro black guy. Just keeping it strong style. Email me, jeremy@socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences, hosted by Caleb Maserati. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. AW Match Guy Podcast, hosted by Sir Sam. And the Great Match Generator with Danny. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
We'll see you guys out there Sunday.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
At Kroger, we believe in higher standards for fresh. So we do up to a 27-point inspection on our produce. Like for oranges, we check for scarring and sunburn, allowing only the best produce to reach our shelves. Because when it comes to fresh for everyone, we believe the juice is worth the squeeze. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This message is brought to you by Regeneron. If you have diabetes, listen closely because your ears could help your eyes. Excess sugar from diabetes could lead to eye damage and vision loss, even blindness, and you might not even notice it at first. So remember, now is the time to get your eyes checked. Eye care is especially important with diabetes. See a path forward with actions and potential treatment options that may help your eyes and protect against vision loss. Go see an eye care specialist and visit noweyesee.com to take charge of your eyesight. That is NOWEYESEE.com.